from the city of Chicago, a city most recently known for its crime and violence. On this podcast, we will be sharing stories of redemption from individuals raised in the tough streets of Chicago and from around the country. Some of them were gang members, drug dealers, incarcerated, victims, and perpetrators of violence. Listen to my guests as they share their experiences, struggles, trauma, but also the strength, hope, faith, and perseverance these have developed in them to keep pushing and moving forward in life. Tune in to hear how their lives have gone from darkness to light and from wrong to strong. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wrong to Strong Chicago. I'm your host. My name's Omar Calvillo, and tonight I have my guest with me. His name is Carlos Alvarez. I met this brother back in 2018, and it was an interesting story of how we met, but we're gonna save that story for later on. You know, we're gonna go through his life story, and eventually we'll get to that part, how we met. But I've been wanting to get this brother on here for a while. You know, he finally agreed. So, you know, I'm glad that he made it out here. So welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you for inviting me.
Yeah. No, thanks for being on here, man. And we're going to get into your story, man. But, you know, we'll start right at the beginning, man. You want to tell the people what part of the city you grew up in? I believe you grew up in Chicago, right? Your whole life?
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago. I grew up on 23rd and Troy, little village area.
Oh, okay.
You know, big family, you know, a lot of cousins, my mom, my dad, my brother in the beginning. Then when we moved to Cicero.
But yeah. So, okay. So you grew up in a little village, like for somebody that's never been to Chicago, you know, there's a lot of people that listen, you know, could you describe that area, you know, like growing up in your younger years?
Yeah, man. 23rd and Troy, you know, I'm always going to remember that block because right at the corner, there was a corner store, you know, and all I remember is like a lot of people always being out. There was always a lot of people outside. Like, I glorified my uncles, you know, there was a lot of gang activity going on at the time. But as a young kid, you don't see your uncles in that manner or your father or their friends. You know, you kind of just see them. Well, these are my relatives, you know. You know, we were normal kids, man, you know, jumping fences, playing at the school playground. There was a school called Canoon, right on that corner right there, right across the street from the corner store. And we would play soccer there. And at the time, marbles were really big. So we would play marbles, you know. And, you know, the most I remember is that there was always a lot of people out.
Okay.
Like, there was always something happening on that block, man, you know. And I was always told, though, like, don't go past Cermak.
Okay.
You know, like on the other side of Cermak, that was like forbidden already, you know. And I'm
that's
like,
crazy, man.
Yeah, you know, like,
so that was like a boundary that
it was a boundary, more of a boundary because my family went to Ferget.
Okay.
And at that time there was like a lot of like fighting with like black people.
Okay.
You know?
Oh yeah. For you know, I mean, for people that don't know, there was a lot of racial. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, around racial lines. You know? So just north of Cermak, I guess that was like where things started to change towards another neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know? So I remember my mom, my dad, don't go by there, don't go past there, you know, like you stay over here. Yeah. And at the time I'm like, well, why? You know, like, but then as I got older. It started making a little bit more sense.
Yeah. No, yeah, you know, it's good to share that because, man, maybe some people didn't grow up like that, and I know in that area, you know, I've heard stories where there was like a racial divide, you know, African Americans, you know, it's Mexicans, you know, and the two different gangs, you know, more than two different gangs.
But
it would divide like just by the skin color at times, right? It wouldn't even be like gangs, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't even be like gangs, you know, because I remember like in that area growing up, I think they were all like Latin Kings.
Okay.
You know, and my family, we started off on Troy and we had like family members all through Sacramento. Okay. So those 4 blocks, it was Troy, Albany, Whipple, Sacramento, and then California Boulevard. You know, so like that was like our family section and friends, and you know, like we all knew each other there, and you know, and like I remember even as a kid, you know, like I was probably like 4 or 5, like I would walk to Albany and see there was an arcade over there,
Okay.
When the arcades were still big and dollar candies and penny candy.
What was this, like in the 80s, 90s?
80s.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of fond memories, man. A lot of good memories, and I guess, like growing up, you shouldn't see certain things, but to me, like it happened like so often that it kind of was like normal.
Okay. What are some of those things? Maybe a couple of stories maybe that come to mind that they looking back, you realize, man, like maybe some kids shouldn't be seeing stuff like this.
Yeah, for sure, man. So on Sacramento, there was an apartment building, and as we grew older, we called it like the Mexican projects.
Okay.
And in that building, like 6 of my family members lived there.
Okay.
My tia Paula, my tia Maria, Concha,
Sounds like my tias.
All the tias. I lived in that building, brother.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And every weekend, I remember like the grown-ups, they would all get together there, and they're like, okay, go outside and play, and I was the oldest of the youngest cousins. There was like two sets of cousins. Yeah. And then there was like the older cousins, So I was the oldest of the oldest cousins.
Okay, yeah.
Of the younger cousins.
Yeah.
So, we were just playing in the dirt, scratching our knees, playing soccer, playing tag, hide and seek and all that stuff,
Kick the can,
all that, and the thing is that like around that time, I remember there being like a lot of burnt garages, So out of those burnt garages, we'd be like, oh, this is our clubhouse now, And I'm like, this is not thinking about it. That wasn't safe, It could have collapsed at any moment, or something could have happened.
Yeah, right.
But like to us, it was like, well, the girls are in there, they're playing cards and smoking and drinking, So this is where we're gonna pass the time,
Right.
And so getting back to the story, anytime we would go over there after their drinking and their card game was done, there was always a fight, between the uncles or my tia and my tio, like always bickering, and they would turn violent, and to us, it was an excitement seeing the cops come by with the lights, and here come the cops with the guns, and my uncle's over there fighting with his brother-in-law, and to us, it was like, oh man, like exciting, and now thinking about it is like, man, maybe that wasn't like the way to see it growing up, but to us, it was like excitement.
That's, what, I don't know, like, what it does, like, to the mind, like I'm sure, like as we get into your story, it probably played a part, like seeing violence and the excitement. Like instead of seeing it as a bad thing, it's almost like a thrill, man.
It was almost a thrill. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And like even like when that would happen, like we knew next week we would be back there again, and then it would be. Supposedly, it wasn't going to happen no more. It was just going to be a friendly game. And I always remember the cops showing up at the end of the night, man.
Yeah.
You know
what that story reminds me of? I know though it ain't going to happen again. Next week is going to be better.
Yeah.
The Bible talks about the difference between godly sorrow and worldly sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Godly sorrow is like, man, like it's I've sinned against God. I'm going to repent. I'm going to turn around. And worldly sorrow is almost like, man, I got caught. The consequences don't feel good, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it again. But worldly sorrow is not really repentful.
Right.
It's like just a repeating, man. And the reason I say that is because that reminds me of me. Like, man, wake up Sunday morning after you realize the disaster you did on Friday and say, I'm not going to do it again. That's
brother,
it.
I'm there with you, man. I call those moral hangovers.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
That's what I call it,
Wow.
because you're like, oh, man, I can't believe I did that. Oh, how could I done that, But and
this is short-lived.
It's short-lived. Right? Like as soon as that little moral hangover is over, Monday, Tuesday, then you're back to normal again.
Not really normal, but I like that. That's the first time I heard that moral hangover for real. I've never heard that term, but I could definitely agree with it. Like what it does. And you know what? Speaking back to the families fighting. You said card games because I remember like growing up that was my family, man.
Yeah.
And when it comes to money. There isn't no family, man. So
they would play a game called Conquian.
Okay.
So I don't know, it was like Mexican poker or something, and like I said, I remember the men would drink, the woman would smoke, and the women were kind of peaceful though, like they did more of the card playing, once in a while my uncle would jump in, but the men would be like over here. Like,
oh no way! So is the woman gambling?
Gambling, and the men would be over here like just drinking, just straight drinking and like. I remember even a game. I don't know if you saw it being played. Like they would sit out and like flip quarters and who could get it closer to the line.
Oh yeah. The line. Yeah.
The line, yeah. So they would do that, you know, and then after while they were drinking, they would get into arguments.
Yeah.
You know, or like my aunts and my tios would argue about something, you know, and then back then like not saying that it's normal, but like slapping around your wife seemed kind of normal.
Yeah, it's good that we bring it up because there were definitely different times back then, man, where it wasn't like it was just, I guess back then it was just like the norm,
right? Which
obviously is not good, but as little kids, you grew up seeing that and like, oh man, this is what you do in a marriage. This is how a husband and a wife, you know, get along, or you could do that, and it's the wrong way of thinking, man. And trust me, I was there. You know, I witnessed that domestic violence, you know, fighting, throwing dishes, and things like that. And it definitely does something to you as a little kid. You know what I'm saying?
It does. You know, because you know, I grew up around my dad more. You know, Mama had a second shift job. You know, and my dad would be at home by the time I got home from school. So I kind of grew up around my dad more. You know, I love my mom. You know, I love both my parents. You know, they did their best. You know, my dad and my mom and my older brother, they came here from Mexico. You know, at a young age. You know, and I gotta be proud of my parents. You know, I'm proud of them. You know, my dad didn't know the language, didn't know much from much, and somehow he managed to get back then, like it was a good job at having a job at the Cook County Prison.
Oh, no way.
You know, so he did there, and he retired from there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so he was the maintenance man there. You know, that was what my dad did. You know, and he welded, he fixed the industrial dishwashers. You know, and you know, my dad, he didn't have a dad. You know,
oh, no way.
Yeah, so he had a stepdad, and his stepdad didn't treat him too good. You know, so his mom raised him. You know, and she kind of let him do what he wanted. You know, he told me that he was very, in a way, spoiled. They didn't have much, but she kind of just let him without no discipline.
Right.
You know, so, you know, that's kind of like my dad's story and how I got raised around him, you know, and I would always be around his friends, you know, and at that time, men would just sit out and drink, you know, they would grab their little paper bags and put over their 40-ouncer and just hang out in the corner and drink, you know, after work, or in the front stoop and drink, you know, and, you know, here's a quarter, go get me a beer, you know. All right, Dad, I got you, you know, I'm gonna get you a beer. The deals, you know, hey, ahí te va una cora, you know, go get me a beer, you know, and, you know, you're hustling, you know, you're making a little bit of money, you know, thinking you're needed, you know, that your uncles and, you know, your dad, you know, you're useful, you know, while they're hanging out having fun, like you're getting little corners, going to the corner store, buying chips or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I got you. Man, no. So that's interesting through those years. Now, another thing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, your dad taught you how to box. Is that one thing or no?
No, actually, bro, the boxing started because I was watching like a lot of Rocky movies.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah.
And my dad would watch we would watch movies, you know, and boxing movies. And at that time, Mike Tyson was big and Julio Cesar Chavez were big, you know, so my dad said that I would mimic what they would do. Okay. You know? So when I would see Chavez like shadow boxing or boxing like in the mirror, and my dad said he would catch me doing it, you know.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so he thought that there was something there, you know. Yeah. Never really encouraged it, you know. Yeah. Like, but the older cousins encouraged it. Where like make the younger cousins fight each other, you know. Or fight.
So that was your boxing school with
like, pretty much, you know.
Gotcha.
Or like fighting the kids on the block, you know. My brother, or they're like, oh yeah, you know, my brother, my little brother, he bet you he could beat up your little brother, you know. And I'm like, you know, one of those deals, you know.
Was your uncle's name Don King, man?
Nah, actually it was my uncle Julian, my uncle Jesse, my Uncle Mouse, and Uncle Bear, you know, and all those guys, man, and they were tough. They were tough dudes.
These are all the real names, right?
They had the real names. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy, man. So that was your upbringing. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I stood with it, man. You know, I stood with boxing. You know, and that's something I taught my kids. You know.
Now, did you end up going to like actual training for that, or just that?
So the thing was that when my younger brothers were born, like, I really didn't have a chance to join any sports in school, you know? It was one of those where you gotta come home and watch your little brothers and cook for them till we get home from work, you know? So, you know, that was kind of hard for me, man, you know, because I wanted to be part of something, you know?
Okay.
And my friends would like wrestle and play football, you know, and I had the responsibility of taking care of my little brothers, you know?
Like from what age you remember like having to do all that?
I took care of my little brothers. I was very young, man. I was like 9 years old, you know?
And how many brothers did you have to take care for?
2 brothers.
Oh, okay.
And they were, my grandma would help me, but she was older already. She would kind of come up and check on us, you know, and kind of just go back downstairs. And at that age, I was cleaning diapers, bro. You know, my brother was 1 and 2. You know, like, but when they were older, like one was 1 and one was just like a few months. You know, so they were only a year apart.
And then you had to do this, like, basically.
I had to take care of them. You know, cook for them. You know.
Oh, no way! Even cooking at that age?
Yeah, I was making eggs, huevos con chorizo. You know, and they still had like the ramen noodles, you know, and stuff like that, you know. Or my mom would cook the night before, and she'd be like, "Oh, just reheat it," you know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just reheat it for your brothers, you know.
Yeah.
And my mom, she would always like make sure you take care of your little brothers, you know. Don't trust nobody, you know. Like if anybody knocks on the door, don't answer it. You know how it is.
The old school rules, man. Certain things to do and not to do.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? I mean, looking back, like at the moment. How do you feel that affected you, man? Like what feelings that causing you, I guess?
Man, bro, you know what? If I could take it back just a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it back just a little bit because we lived in Chicago, bro, only to a certain time because so my uncles, I guess right across from California, there was another gang.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Right by the boulevard. And I guess earlier that day they had crossed California. And I don't know if it was like the Tutu boys or something over there on that side, but like they got into it with them. And that same night, I was so there was we lived there was like a back house. So there was a house, a yard, and then a house in the back.
Yeah.
So we lived in the back.
Okay.
And one of my neighbors came knocking on the door, like banging on the door, and I answered it, and my mom was kind of like half asleep already, and they're like, "Oh, you gotta come, like they beat up your dad. Your dad's outside, you know." And we're like, "Well, where is he?" You know. So my dad tried getting away. And he ran through a gangway, and then made his way into a porch, and they cornered him there, bro. And my dad was in a coma. They beat him with bats, yeah. And so I ran out there in my underwear, you know, as a little boy, you know, like I just ran out. I didn't even think, and I saw my dad on the floor, blood all coming out of his head, you know. And
man, how old were you? Like,
I had to have been like, I was in first grade,
man.
So like 6 years old, 6, 7 years old. You know, and seeing my dad like that, and he was in the hospital for like almost 2 months, you know, and like by like the age of 8, like when he got recuperated and everything, like that's when he said, like, man, we got to move out of here, you know, and we moved to Cicero, because of that situation,
man,
because he was close to dying, like he had swelling of the brain. They had to kind of like
remove part
a little
of the
bit
skull.
So it could let it like, you know, breathe, I guess, or like give it room, you know. So that happened to my dad, you know, and after that, like, we were like, from our family, we're one of the first ones to like move out of the area, you know, and then little by little, like more people, my other family followed, you know, little by little.
Man, no, that's a heavy thing to witness, man, as a little kid, to see your dad, your hero, you know what I'm saying, like that. But that was the reality of that area you lived in, right? I'm sure that gang violence.
That was only one that I'm talking about, you know, because I saw my uncles getting into fights. Like I remember like all the characters like in that block, man, all the older men, because like I looked up to them, you know, like my Uncle Mouse, like even though I had an older brother, you know, I looked up to my uncles, you know, my Uncle Mouse, you know, he taught me to play basketball. He taught me about cars, you know, he taught me, you know, like even how to like kind of pick up girls, you know, stuff like that, you know, as I got older, you know. But back in that time, man, like I looked up to my uncle, man. He had like this pushback, he had a Dago tee, he had the baggies on, the All-Stars, you know. And I'm like, oh man, I want to look cool like that. You know, like my uncle, you know. And like he had like this what's called stiletto blade. Where you push the button and it pops up, you know. And like I saw him pull it out a few times when there was beef, you know. And like they would fight amongst each other too, you know, over drunk stuff, you know, like same gang, but they would still fight amongst each other, you know. And man, you know, so growing up, that was like kind of the environment, you know. Violence was normal, drinking was normal, slapping around your missus was normal, you know, cops being called was normal, you know, us hanging around in like burnt garages was normal. And that's kind of just the environment, you know, always a lot of people out, always a lot of music, always a lot of something, a lot of chaos, a lot of something going on.
Yeah, it sounds about right, man. And in that area. Now, I know you mentioned you moved Cicero. Like, how far, like time wise, I guess, for somebody listening, way did you move? Like,
so we moved to Cicero probably like in '89.
Okay.
So I was born in '81. So about '89, close to '90. That's when we moved to Cicero. And to me, it was like a big culture change, man, because I was going to a school. I don't know if you know. It's right on the boulevard. It's called Spry School.
No, the boulevard and like what, like
California and like 24th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've probably seen it, but I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. So I went to that school, right? And like my brother went to Canoon, and it was supposedly that the smart kids went to Canoon, and like the not so smart kids went to Spry. You know.
Gotcha.
So I went to Spry, and they only taught everything in Spanish. Like everything was taught in Spanish. So then when we moved to Cicero, I felt like a total outcast, you know, because they were speaking to me and I didn't understand it.
And everything was English?
Everything was English, you know. I didn't understand the word they were saying, you know, like, and that caused like for the kids who did speak English or who already know what the homework was about, you know, like I didn't understand it, but I knew they were making fun of me.
Yeah.
You know, and because like I was falling so far behind, you know, and everything, you know, and
what grade is this? Like?
This was about like fourth grade.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, and there came a time where like they would just let me sit and not do homework, and I would like that school, Woodbine. So right across the alley was my house. So I literally, Omar, would sit there and just look at my house and see my parents or my uncle. People just go in and out, and they would be teaching, and I had no idea what they were saying, man. You know, and I felt dumb. You know, like I felt like I had no friends because I didn't
the language barrier,
right?
You know?
And then you know, like they started figuring out that more kids started coming, so they had to do something about it. So that's when that ESL started happening, English second language.
Yeah,
and then I became real good at like reading books because there was I don't know, back in the day if you remember, there was like a Pizza Hut book club. Like if you read a certain amount of books, they would give you like a small pan pizza.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, you know, and by reading books, I learned the language like very quickly.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Man, no, that's good. And then you started, I guess, progressing. And I think did it help that more kids started coming? You know, speak Spanish and. Well,
I thought that because my cousin Chuvis Miguel, he was going through the same thing I was going through. He was 1 year younger, and same thing. He didn't know no English, so he kind of was going through the same thing, and we just couldn't wait to get out of school so me and him could hang out. And then my uncle Mouse Vince, he put up a hoop in the back of our garage, you know, like old school.
Yeah.
And actually, that's how I started making friends, you know. And they would come around, play basketball, you know, and I started learning the language a little bit, you know, and now more Mexicans started moving in, I had a friend Jaime who lived a few houses down, you know, and like the culture started to change where there was still a good amount of white people, but then there was more Mexicans also, and that kind of made it easier, you know.
Now, back in those years, did you experience any of that, the racism?
Well, you know what, bro? Like, I did experience some of it, you know, but I don't think it affected me much.
Okay.
You know, next door there was a girl. Her name was Kristen. And her dad's name was Paul, you know? And I had a younger cousin, Anna. And, you know, she was a little girl. They would play together. And then, like, we would all play together and play freeze tag. Or, you know, actually, like, when I got to Cicero, that's when I learned about Ding Dong Ditch. Okay. Because they were doing it.
Okay.
You know, they were in the doorbell and then we would run and hide, you know?
Couldn't do that in a little village, man.
No, we couldn't do that in a little village, right? Yeah, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
And so, like, they started getting in trouble. And then I remember the dad saying, oh, it's those dirty Mexicans who are being a bad influence on you, you know? When in reality, I'm like, I got taught these games. Yeah. So it was like little minor stuff like that, you know? Like that whole block was pretty much white people until a little bit, like, more people started moving in, you know? And there was a few Mexicans, but I guess they had been there a while already where, like they were
Yeah.
They're not like us, like you know, from the neighborhood, you know, and coming over here with bad habits, you know.
Yeah, right. I'm sure they didn't like that.
Right.
Okay, so that's like your elementary years. You want to take it like through the teenage years. How does life look for you? Anything significant, you know, in those early teenage years, you know?
Yeah, I think I was a lot of a people pleaser, man. You know, and like not being the older brother, but having to take on that older brother role from my younger brothers, you know. My older brother, he would get away with everything. Like he would tell my mom, "They're not my kids. I'm not gonna take care of them," and he would just leave and not help out, like not really do chores.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Like he'd go and do what he wanted, you know. And like there was times where I would try to rebel a little bit. Like sometimes, you know, kids get hurt, you know, or like sometimes I wouldn't do certain things that I was supposed to do. And I would get so guilt tripped, bro, by my parents, you know, by my mom. Like, oh, I come home from work and, you know, you couldn't even do this. You know, I'm so tired, you know. And why did your brother hurt himself? Were you not watching him, you know? And it felt, bro, that I wasn't loved unless I did everything, you know? Like I had to do everything that was expected, you know, from my parents in order for them to love me, you know? And I think I figured that out as I was growing up, where like I knew the things that I was doing like was wrong, you know, but I wanted to be accepted, man, you know?
Yeah.
And like, oh, hey, let's go steal this over here. Oh, yeah, I'll do it, you know? And that made me feel kind of like accepted, like part of something, you know? And I was compromising a lot, you know, because my mom and my grandma, they try to teach me about God.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, there was a church, or I think they're still right there on Ashland.
By 18th?
And between 18th and Blue Island.
Yeah.
And my mom and my grandma, they would go to that church.
Yeah. I went there a few times with my family because I have family all over like Pilsen.
Okay.
But that was more east of where I grew up. Yeah. I remember like, I forget the name of it, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. I know they would go there because I think there was a shrine to St. Jude.
Okay.
And like they would like pray to St. Jude.
Okay.
You know? And that was like their thing. And they tried. They did instill the fear of God in me, you know, like, and try to teach me what the best that they knew, you know. So I knew what was right and wrong. Yeah. You know, I knew that, you know, what my parents taught me, but at the same time, I was like pretty much in a way trying to give my parents a middle finger, you know.
Yeah.
Like
by you rebelling.
Yeah, by me rebelling, you know. Yeah. And like kind of like. And it was more than rebelling, man. You know, like I remember at the age of like 13, 14, I was hanging out with a few kids, you know. And at that time, I don't know if you remember, there was these like cigarettes. They were called BDs. They were like rolled up like in some kind of leaf or something.
Man, I don't.
And they smelled kind of funky, you know. Okay. But it wasn't marijuana, but it was like it smelled a little funky. And I remember we were taking the train up north, you know, and one of my friends like, oh, I brought some markers, you know, let's tag up the trains, you know, or like the windows. And I'm like, all right, cool, man, let's do it, you know. And to me, it was like so exciting, man, just being on the train, you know, like tagging, you know, doing something that, you know, was kind of like, I'm not a goody two shoes, you know, like I don't got to do everything that my parents, you know, expect me to do, you know, because to me, it was like, if I don't do a little minor thing, like they're going to like come down on me. So I was like, okay, I'll show you then, you know, like I could do a lot worse, you know.
Gotcha.
And that was not the right way of thinking, but I felt angry, you know.
It's good to reflect now, like, man, what was I feeling and why was I doing what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a lot of responsibility put at a young kid, man. Like, you know, you're a kid yourself and you're like a parent at that age, you know, that's a lot.
And that's why that was the only reason I was able to do boxing, because the boxing gym stood open until 8 at night. You know, so my parents would get home like around 5:30 and I would go to the boxing gym right there on Costner and Ogden, Windy City Boxing.
All right.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. You know, that was an outlet for me, you know. So back to the train story, you know, like I remember, you know, like getting caught up, man, you know, getting taken to the Damon police station, you know. Okay. Yeah, you know.
22nd to Damon.
Yeah, 22nd to Damon, man.
I grew up on 22nd to Hoyne.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a block down from me, man.
Yeah. But we were taking the train from Cicero, the blue line to the red line, you know, and kind of just like teenagers, you know, kind of just wandering.
Just exploring.
Just exploring, you know.
Gotcha.
And just tagging the trains, you know. And my mom and my dad would come down to get me to the Damon police station, you know. And I guess they thought like tagging was like
was actually on 23rd. My bad. I think it's 23rd in Damon, right? Yeah, because it's
not there no more.
Yeah, no, but it was on 23rd. I'm doing the math because it was Cermak, and then I was on 22nd place.
Yeah,
and it was on 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, no. I don't know why I'm just.
Yeah, so they like a few times they had to pick me up from there, you know, and I don't think they could distinguish like between like a tagger and a gang member, you know. And they were like, "Oh, pinche ganguero," you know, and
who the police?
No, my parents.
Oh, gotcha.
Pinche ganguero, pretty much like effing gangbanger. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and how old were you the first time you landed there? Like,
I was like 13.
Okay.
Yeah, 13. And then my dad, when I got home, he whooped me with the belt a little bit, you know, to the shoulders mainly, you know, and you know, that lasted only for a little while, you know, and I went back to school and my friends wanted to do it again, you know, and I'm like, I got to lay low for a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But then the peer pressure comes in, you know, like, come on, man, you know, like, this time we won't get caught, you know. And, like, you know, we started.
Good. Yeah,
you know, we're good, you know. And then after a while, man, we started like jumping on the tracks and running on the tracks, you know, and the cops sometimes didn't jump on the tracks to come after us. It was dangerous, you know. So, you know, there's a third line right there where you could get electrocuted, you know. So we started doing that, but like, we would run to the next police station, but they were already calling it in. Like, hey, they're running down the tracks. You're going to catch them at the following stop, you know? Yeah. So they were there waiting for us, you know? And once again, back to Damon. Same thing, you know?
Yeah. That was your teenage years there?
Yeah, it's like teenage years, you know? And then, like, during that time, there was a new gang moving into where I lived, you know? And it was already divided between... there was a few gangs right there. There was the Tutu Boys, the Majestics, and then the new gang that was coming in were the Maniacs, you know? And the Maniacs kind of like, you know, at that time, like that was like the Tutu Boy stronghold, you know, like right in that area, you know, where I lived, you know? And like these guys just showed up and kind of took over a little section, you know? And I had friends that were, well, I thought they were friends, you know, that were like from the other gang, you know, we played sports together, you know, but once they started getting more serious into it, man, like that friendship kind of stopped, you know? Like they were trying to like, not kind of pressure me to go this way, but like kind of not go this way either. You know? And
there comes a certain age where like there's a separation, man.
There's a separation.
I had that where, man, like, you know, I'm young, you know, a certain age, I'm hanging out with guys from that side of the street and we're cool. We're playing football at the park.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember I used to go to Harrison Park and it'll be playing football, and it'll be guys, let's say, from the west side of Damon, and then some guys from the east side of Damon, and we'd be out there, you know, tackle football.
Right.
But then at a certain age, it's like almost like you stop being friends, and you see each other now. You guys want to hurt each other.
Right.
It's crazy, man.
That's how it happened. And to me, bro, like that was really like my I guess my mind couldn't comprehend it, you know. Like man, bro, like we were friends, you know. Like we used to play sports together, you know. Like I was able to walk past Laramie before. Now I can't go past Laramie, you know, because there was another park on Laramie that I used to go play basketball at, you know. There was two parks, one on Laramie and Ogden, and then one by like Laramie and like, we always say Laramie, like by the train tracks. You know, that's the way we knew it. Park by the train tracks, you know. And like, I could no longer go to that other park, you know. I could only go to this park now, you know. And because my brother, you know, he turned Maniac, and then my cousin turned Maniac, you know. So now, okay, well, they're that, so you got to be that too, you know. And even if you weren't, even if I wasn't, but if I would see them like getting jumped or something, of course I was gonna help them. That's my family, you know. And so that started happening, man. And I lived there, you know, and I really didn't like the idea of like joining the gang. Like I was trying to get away from my parents' authority, you know.
Are you gonna be under?
And then to have somebody else that kind of tell me what to do, like I wasn't really feeling it at the time. But you know, I would hang out, you know, like smoke and drink a little bit, but never fully, you know, like fledged in there, you know. And then to me, like growing up, you know, I was watching like a lot of like mobster movies, you know, and like to me, like the way like they went about it wasn't really like I guess like a real gangster, I guess, you know.
Gotcha.
Like they were more like, you know, they had like the bald head, the shags, you know. Like to me, like that was like too loud, you know. Like like you're like putting yourself out there too much, you know. You kind of be a little bit more discreet in my mind, you know.
Okay.
But that was actual like gang banging. You know? They had the rammers and like, you know, just out there, you know. And to me, I'm like, nah, you know, like why would I put myself in the limelight like that, you know? Or why would I put myself like out there like that, you know? So I really didn't like the way they went about stuff, you know. My brother, he didn't give a shit, you know. Like bald head, you know, tatted up, you know, and he was out there, you know.
Yeah.
My younger cousin too, he didn't care, you know. The one I told you that we came to the school together, Miguel, he didn't care either, you know. So that was happening, man, and around that time, like there was a lot of like beefs like starting to start up, you know, because there wasn't like a full out war yet, you know, but like, of course, nobody's going to like it just for you to set up camp in their territory, you know? So they just kind of try to play it cool, feel each other out.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, you guys keep this block, that block, and we'll keep this. That didn't last too long, man, you know? Like, then they went to war. And then where we were at, going east, there's that 31st Street bridge.
Okay.
By Cicero and 31st going over. And this one guy I had met in high school, he was locked up for a while, you know, in the Fed prison. And then he came out and then he took over the gang because he was a maniac, you know. But since I knew him, like, me and him were really tight, you know. Yeah. Even though I wasn't a member, like, hey, Carlos, what's up, man? What do you think about this, man? Like, you're not, like, hot-headed, you know? Like, you could think stuff through and kind of advise, you know? And I'm like, nah, bro, we got to see stuff like a game of almost like a tactical war, you know? Yeah. Like, you know, you got to set up, you know, like maybe different people with different blocks, you know, somebody take care of this block, you guys take care of this block. Because then the 2-6 from across the bridge started coming this way, you know? And then you had the 2-2 boys from the west coming east. And then the 2-6 from east coming west, you know? And so we were like in the middle, you know, of both two neighborhoods, you know?
No, this gang is really not that big in the south side. I mean, back then, it's mostly, they're really big on north side,
they're
right?
Big on the north side.
So I imagine they had to come from over there?
They came from over there somewhere, man. I don't know who brought it. I know the brothers who started it, you know? And then everybody started gravitating towards that, you know? Around that time, like my compadre, he had a cousin, you know, and remember how I told you that I didn't like how the way like these guys actually went about business, you know, because like they were too loud and stuff like this. Well, these guys were Latin jivers, you know, and like these guys were like just about making money, you know, making money, looking sharp, you know, kind of not being too loud, you know, kind of just making moves, you know, without having too much attention on you, you know, and I kind of like that, you know. I'm like, yeah, you know what, like this is good, you know, like I don't need the like you know all this attention. I want to make some money, you know. I want to, you know, stay out of the limelight, you know? So at the end, that's why I started flipping out. Know? So through like from my sophomore year to like my past senior year, you know, that's when I turned, you know. Yeah. But little did I know that the Jivers and the Maniacs up north, they were actually tight, you know? Like they're kind of like brothers, like cousins.
Oh, no, right. As far as the gangs go, right? Gotcha. Yep.
So that started happening, man. And I met another man who had moved into my building. You know, my mom was renting the apartment upstairs, you know? And these guys were like heavy duty, man, you know, like in the drug game, you know? You know, and he made me his compadre, you know? We became compadres, you know? And so, you know, that was good while it lasted, man. But like, that's another devil, man, you know? Messing with cocaine and drinking, you know, and kind of just like the partying, you know, that was something else, man, you know.
No, were you using too? Like,
I was, man.
Yeah, gotcha.
I was, man, you know, not proud to say it, man.
No, right.
You know, I was using, you know, and it was like part of the lifestyle, man, you know, and you know, like dressing fly, you know, and like gold rings, you know, ostrich boots, you know, expensive boots, you know, going out, you know, with them, you know, and but with that connection, I was able to make a connection, the middleman connection towards the gang I belonged to.
Gotcha.
You know? So like, yeah, I got this. And that's how my nickname came about, you know? Like from Carlos, it went to Kilos, you know? Like, hey, Kilos, what's up, man? You got something? You know? Like, I got you, bro. Don't worry about it, man. You know? So that helped me with this over here, you know? And that also helped me to my brother's gang, you know? Because like they needed work too, you know? And like, I was the plug for both of them, you know? So that worked out for a little bit, man. But like I said, man, I was trying to play two roles, man. You know, I was trying to play two roles, you know, and the side of the coin that I was showing to the world was like, I'm a family man. I have a job, you know, I'm a good father.
You want to share a little bit about that? You know, like at this age, you got kids, or you married, or what was going on on your personal side, I guess?
Yeah. At this age, bro, you know, I had a son when I was 18.
You
know, And, you know, I wasn't ready to be a father. You know, I tried my best at my younger years, you know, and I'm not going to say that I did a good job, because I would be lying, you know. That's one thing I don't want to do.
No, right.
You know, I didn't consider myself being a good father, you know, just because of, you know, I wanted to be still out there, you know, still doing what I was doing. And I knew that it was wrong, you know, and I didn't want to have I didn't want to have my kids around it, but they were around it, man. You know, like the smell goes up into the house. You know, we're smoking in the yard. You know, and you know, like, you know, Isaiah, my son Isaiah would say, "Oh, it smells funny," you know, and you know, like damn, you know, like I gotta stop doing this, you know. But it didn't stop till later on in life, bro.
Yeah.
know?
Gotcha.
And you know, and Isaiah, you know, I love my son. You know, he had a rough, you know, upbringing. You know, it was rough, man. You know, just because I didn't have my priorities straight, man.
No, right.
You know?
At that young age, you know, you don't. Okay, so you say you were trying to portray this family man, but you were actually doing all this. So eventually, what does that life lead you to or into? I guess like,
man, you know, then when I had Isaiah, man, I had caught a case already. You know, I had caught a gun case. You know, and since it was the first time, it was kind of like a slap on the wrist, you know,
Gotcha.
And kind of let me go. And I said, okay, I'm gonna be smarter about it. You know, I'm not gonna get caught again. You know, not be a knucklehead about things. So I held a few jobs down, man. You know, I was a roofer for a while. You know, and I did construction for a while. You know, after that, I landed a job at this medical office. They had me doing logistics for like their courier service. So I never let that other side
got
go.
you. All right.
Like, even though I got different jobs and I was making still like money, you know, like I never let that go completely.
Okay.
I just told myself, this is what I'm gonna put out to the world. I'm a family man. I'm a man who does good. I'm a man who takes his kids out on the weekends. You know, the weekends we go. You know, we had Christmases, we had, you know, Thanksgivings, birthdays. You know, like little vacations. You know, like everything. You know, like I thought was making me a good dad. You know? My kids had like the Game Boys and like nice clothing, things that I thought that's what was good. But like one thing, man, like I gotta give myself a little bit of credit, man. Like my mom was real, like be like a clean and neat freak, you know? So like growing up, man, like I couldn't like watch Saturday cartoons, man, you know? And so like growing up, man, I let my kids be kids, man, you know, but I disciplined them, you know? But like, hey man, come on, let's watch some cartoons, you know? Then after this, we'll clean the house, you know? Put on some music for them, man, make it kind of chill, you know? They had a nice big yard, you know, and they had lots of friends, and their friends would come over, and I had a pool back there, you know, so they would go in the pool, you know, and you know, they were in sports, man, you know, all that good stuff, you know, that little boy should have, you know. But while that's going on, I got this other side of my life going on, you know. Yeah, and while all that was happening, man, like I didn't know that the feds were building a RICO case. Like with that gang in my neighborhood, you know, and I remember telling my brother, and I'm not gonna say the leader's name at the time because I was close to him. And I don't want to put his name out there, you know? Like I had told him too, like hey, you don't find it like a little funny that they're letting us get away with so much, you know, like the cops are not showing up, you know, and nothing's happening, you know, like nah, man, like you know, in the city, you know, it's like this, you know, like they gotta get used to it, you know. but to me it was like, nah, man, there's something happened. There's something odd, you know, something weird going on, you know. And they let it happen, man, and like little did we know, like somebody from another set that was still part of the same gang had been wearing a wire. You know, he got busted for something, you know, and so to get a deal, you know, like he kind of like started getting info. But a lot of people got locked up for that, man. You know, on the north side and over here, you know. And I remember because I used to live across the street, and I remember like waking up and like I seen like my mom called me like, hey, aquí está la policía, you know, like the police is here. I'm like, why? What happened? Like, I don't know, like, but they're not the regular police, you know. And I'm like, oh man, you know. Oh no, you know what, bro? I'm lying. At that time, I didn't live across the street. I lived on top on the second floor building of my mom's house. Okay, you know, my mom lived downstairs, and my brother used to stay in the basement. And so I was upstairs and I hear doors being kicked in and stuff like that. I mean, I'm thinking, man, like somebody's out to get us, you know?
Oh, yeah, like a home invasion.
Like a home invasion, you know? And no, man, it was the feds, bro. It was the feds, bro. Like they had busted in and they had an arrest warrant for my brother, you know? And that's when everything hit the fan right there. People were getting locked up and you know, getting years thrown at them, you know, and I came down, you know, to like look at me. I'm the squeaky clean guy, you know.
No, at this time they were just after your brother. There wasn't you yet.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Bro.
Okay, go ahead.
Check it out. So I come down, right, and I'm the squeaky clean guy, you know, and the feds, one of the agents takes me to the side, you know. I go outside, you know, and he's like, "Look, man, like we know you're doing something, you know, but we also see that you go to work, you know."
They're telling you this?
Yeah, they're telling me this. Like, you go to work every morning, but we know you're up to something as well, you know? Like they didn't charge me with nothing, bro.
At that moment.
No, at all. You know, they just said, we know you're up to something, you know? Like, one agent, you know? I don't know if they were kind of being, like, cool with me or something, you know? But they're like, we know you're up to something, you know? But stop your shit, you know? Whatever it is that you're doing, you know, you have a family, you know? We see that you go to work and come back at this time, you know? And your brother's going to be in a lot of trouble. That's what they told me, you know? And I kind of like looked at him like, all right, man, well, okay, you know? And, you know, I was like, that was kind of like, because my compadre had already got locked up, you know? So he was already like facing some charges and got about to get deported to Mexico.
No, this is the one that moved in?
That's the one that moved in.
Yeah.
The one that kind of got me into this, you know? And he had already got locked up, you know. He had got caught in Indiana with like one of his other guys, you know. So he was already facing charges and going to be deported after he did his time, you know. And then like a few months later, this happened over here, you know. So everything was crumbling, you know. And my brother had left. He had done something, you know, where they couldn't get to him. So I was walking to the corner store, you know, and now the neighborhood's empty, man. Like there's hardly anybody out, man. So now it's a free for all. Everybody's kind of just driving through there, you know.
So they came for that whole gang.
They pretty much, man. Yeah. They actually came out on a show on cable, bro.
Okay.
I don't know what it was called. Like, it was like called like Gang City or something.
Okay.
Or something.
Gangland
or something.
Okay.
You know, they came out on that show, man.
Okay.
You know, and when that happened, bro, like, you know, like that neighborhood was kind of like a ghost town now, you know. So like everybody who was against them was kind of just free for all, just driving by there, you know, and like I was going to the corner store to get something, and so they came down a one way, you know, and they turned into the alley, and I had to recross the alley, and they jumped out of the van, you know, and I'm looking back, and they start representing, you know, and this and that. I kind of ignored it. I keep walking forward. So now I'm walking forward towards 31st, and right on the corner at the corner store, there's a guy with a hood on, you know. So now I'm stuck between the van and this guy here. I'm in the middle, you know. I can't go that way. They're like, there's a bunch of them. So I took my chances towards the one guy, you know. And as soon as he sees me take off that way, like he starts running towards me. So now we're running towards each other, and I make a right onto 31st, you know. He turns right behind me, and I hear boom, you know. And he was shooting at me, you know. And I'm like, you know, I'm like, all right, let me just, you know. I was weaving in and out of cars, you know, thinking that he's going to follow, you know, but no, he waited for me to weave out, you know, and on the weave out, he shot at me and hit me in my back, you know. And when it hit me in my back, I went down, bro, you know, face first. I got up and I kept running, you know. And then I hear another one. And then that one hit like the first one hit me on my waist, and the second one hit me on my right butt cheek, you know. And that one went in and out, and I went down again. I got up, I tried to run, and my right leg gave out, you know. It just gave out, and I kind of just like, I was like in the street next to cars that were parked there. And I turned around, and he's still running towards me. Oh. And I'm like, man, I got to kind of scoot. Like I scooted into the sidewalk now. And I'm sitting behind the car like this. I'm like, he's going to turn into this corner, and now I'm done, you know. And then I hear like squealing from like tires screeching. And I feel that car, that one I'm sitting up against, like fly this way, you know? So it pushed me. And then I hear, Carlos. I'm like, yeah. He like, it's me. It's your cousin, Jose Luis. Jose Luis has nothing to do with no gangs, bro. He has nothing to do with nothing. Like, he's just a normal guy, just goes to work and, you know, and goes about his business. He said that he was at home and he just wanted to go to the store and get a pop. And then he witnessed the shooting, you know? So he was trying to hit the guy who was going to shoot me
Wow.
You know, and that's where he crashed into that car and that guy fled, you know? And he like, hey, bro, get into the car. I'm like, bro, I can't walk, bro. I can't feel my leg. So he carried me and put me in the passenger seat, you know? And now, bro, he's like, where are we going? We're going. I'm like, go to McNeil, you know? And like, we're heading that way, bro. And then, like, I'm in the car, man, you know, and like my mind's already starting to like play tricks on me a little bit. Because in my mind, prior to this, like my brother had already been shot.
Okay.
You know, my brother had got shot in the chest and the bullet bounced and it broke his right arm, you know? And so like in my head, like my I guess my brain was telling me, no, you didn't get shot. Your brother got shot. Like, yo, you're going to be okay, you know? But then I started falling like into like a real peaceful sleep, you know? Like real peaceful, bro. Like, you know, like just calm. Like I didn't feel no pain no more, you know? And then pictures started coming in, you know? And I saw a picture of me playing with my older brother, then of a birthday party, Christmases, you know, with my grandma, days at the beach. You know, it was like pictures, like one picture after another. And then I saw pictures of my kids, you know? And then and after the pictures were done, my cousin shakes me like, Carlos, wake up, bro, don't go to sleep. And I snapped back into it. I'm like, oh man, like, and then I looked down and I saw like I was bleeding a lot from like my pelvic area, you know? And then that's when my mind starts playing tricks again. Like I'm sorry, like why am I bleeding from here if I got shot in my back, you know? And so I'm feeling my back, you know? I'm like, oh, I probably didn't get shot, you know? Like, you know, like maybe this is something else, you know? Like me trying to rationalize it, I guess, you know? And I told my cousin, I'm like, hey, bro, just do me a favor, bro. Put the window down. Like I need air, you know? I feel like I can't breathe, you know? And I told my cousin, but I'm like, don't even stop, man. Just take every light. Just get me there. And so when we get to the hospital, bro, like I told my cousin just like kind of brushes into like the emergency area, you know? And when I saw that emergency door, like I got like a second wind. Like I was able to walk from the car to the door and I started banging on it, you know? And they're looking at me like I'm a crazy man. And I'm like, hey, I've been shot. And they're like, and I lifted up my shirt. They saw the blood. And then that's when they got to work, you know? They put me in a wheelchair. And then once they put me in a wheelchair, I started having that peaceful sleep again, you know? And then a nurse came to me. She's like, stay with us. And in my mind, I was like, man, why are they talking to me like this? You know, like, I just want to go to sleep, you know? Like, I was getting mad that they were waking me up, you know? like it was like the most peaceful sleep ever, you know? And I was getting mad that they kept waking me up and like, hey, stay with us. I'm like, man, why do they keep talking to me like this, you know? And then they laid me down and I remember my stomach got really big. You know, when I was laying down, like they laid me down on my back. And I remember my stomach got like really big, you know, and I'm telling them, man, my stomach's about to blow, you know, because I was bleeding internally now. And at the same time, like I got a detective asking me questions, you know.
While they're working on you?
While they're working, like they're right there, he's asking me questions. Oh, do you remember the color of the car? I'm like, no, I don't remember, you know, I wasn't even like focused on that, you know. And then they're like, okay, the operating room's ready. Take them up, you know. And I just remember seeing the lights, bro, like on as they're rolling me through the bed, through the hallway, you know, passing the lights, you know. And then I got to the operating room, and it was an Indian doctor, Dr. Palani. And he looked at me. He's like, you're going to be okay. And he put him, I told him I need oxygen, you know. He's like, yeah, well, give me some oxygen. And then he put the mask on me, you know. And it wasn't oxygen. It was like to make me go to sleep, you know. And then, so I was in the operating room, right? And I could see them operating on me, you know? And there was like a small window, like on the door. And I always saw my parents this, you know, that there was like a real bright light, like coming in through that window, you know? And something was calling me to the light, but at the same time, I was scared to go towards it, you know, because I felt like, even though that was going on, I knew I had kids, you know, and I'm like, no, I can't, you know, I have kids, you know, and like I remember saying that, no, I can't, you know, I have kids, and you know, then after that, I woke up, you know, and I'm back in I'm waking up from the operating and everything that happened, you know, and my mom said that the priest had told them to pray for me because I had already kind of like passed away for a little bit, you know, to pray.
During the surgery?
Yeah, during the surgery. You know, I kind of like flatlined a little bit, you know, and they're like, cause I needed a blood transfusion, bro. I needed it hit an artery, you know,
man.
so in my leg, so they had to repair that artery, you know, and the doctor said that the bullet took, that not even like a sharpshooter could make that shot. That it kind of like went through all the main organs and just grazed, but didn't like actually hit anything, you know, solid, you know. And he like it's a miracle, you know, like that, you know, you got here on time. Like any more blood loss, you would have been done, you know. And it took a long time. It took a long time to come back from that, you know. From my injuries, you know, I had to rebuild my body.
You mean like physical,
mental, you know. I started getting addicted to morphine pills for the pain, you know, and that was another battle, you know.
How long did that last? The morphine, like being addicted, like I guess.
I was in the hospital, bro. I would say like 2 weeks, maybe, you know. And then I got sent home, but like I had horrible pain, like in my right leg, in my stomach, in my back. You know, just pain, you know, where like I wasn't even letting my kids sleep. You know, I was always just like, you know, it hurts, you know, like even to stop it would hurt, you know. And they're like, well, it's a lot of nerve damage. Like, I don't know if your legs are, if you're ever going to be able to use that leg again the way you were using it before, you know. And I had a catheter, you know, I was pissing through a bag because my bladder was a little injured still, you know. I just wasn't able to do what a man's supposed to do, you know, take care of his family, you know, take care of things around the house, you know. And luckily for me, man, you know, my bosses with the company I was working for, they continued to pay me, you know.
No way.
Yeah, they continued to pay me all throughout. They came to visit me at the hospital, you know, and like, your job's going to be here. Like, we're going to take care of you, you know. We're going to keep paying your salary, you know. So that was that's when.
Yeah, it's a huge help, man.
That's a huge help, you know. And for the pain, all they were giving me was morphine, you know, morphine, you know. And I was just taking them. I was like got drugged up all day, you know, because I wouldn't feel nothing when I was on morphine, you know. And then once the morphine stopped, like I became a different person, man. Like, you know, I couldn't function without it, you know.
You were an addict. Yeah,
I was an addict, you know. And mood swings, man, depression, you know. I couldn't sleep, you know. And you know what, Omar? Instead of like searching for God, bro, like still at that moment, like I was still not, you know, when I seen God's work and all that, you know, of just still keeping me here, you know. Yeah. Like, instead of trying to find another outlet, you know, like I went to smoking weed. Okay, I don't have the pills no more, but I got this to kind of numb the pain a little bit, you know.
How old are you at this point when you got shot? How old were you?
I was like 24.
Okay.
24 years old.
And how many kids did you have at this age?
I had 2 and 1 on the way.
Okay.
You know, and when my youngest son was going to be born, like, I couldn't go to the hospital, bro. Like, I couldn't go. Like, to me, there was a phobia. If I went, I was going to die, you know?
No way.
Yeah, like, I didn't want to go, you know? And, like, she went into labor and she went on her own. And I couldn't, like, force myself to go. And then the following day, like, I got to make it, man. I got to go. You know, my son's about to be born. You know, I drove to, no, I didn't even think I was driving at the time. I think somebody drove me to Rush. I think my best friend drove me to Rush. And he left me like at the front door because I was walking with a cane now.
Okay.
You know, like my body started healing a little bit, you know? Yeah. So I started walking with a cane. And right before I went into the hospital, man, I threw up in front. You know, just the nerves and the anxiety, you know, of going back into something like that. And the sounds, the beeping, the machinery and everything, man, that kind of just like brought back like flashbacks, I guess, you know, of that traumatic event.
No, yeah.
And then when my son was born, it all stopped. You know, once Tony was born and I held him, like nothing else, everything just like disappeared. You know,
and that's real, man. That the trauma, man, everything that you went through, man. I want to go back to what you said, I was when you were telling the story, like I visualized you by that car. And the guy coming at you, he was basically going to finish you off. Yeah. And what are the odds of your cousin being in that car, man, where you just happen to land? And that's a miracle in itself, man. That, you know, like, go ahead, man.
That's a big miracle, bro. And like my cousin Alberto, I had gotten him a job with me at this medical place where he was one of my couriers, you know? So my cousin who saved me, his name's Jose Luis, you know. And my cousin Alberto told me later that they were at the house watching movies, and he's like, "I'm gonna go get a pop." And they're like, "We got pop here." Like, "Oh, it's not the type I want though." And he's like, "Oh, you're a fool, dude. Like, why are you gonna go? You know, like, well, because I want this pop, you know." And they said it was so odd the way he was acting, you know, just like, what, like in the middle of the movie, like, you want a pop, you know, like, you know, there's plenty of pop here, you know. And I'm like, and asking him, I'm like, "Hey, bro," I'm like, well, what got you out of your house, you know? He's like, "I don't know, bro. Like, I felt like desesperado."
Yeah.
Like
Yo.
like kind of like
the desperation.
Desperation. Like, he couldn't sit here. I gotta get out of here, you know? And they said he was driving down 48th, and then on 31st, he made that right. And once he made that right, he saw the guy shooting at me. And he saw when he was shooting at me a few times before he hit me, you know? I guess he saw my zigzag. So he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna follow him. I'm just gonna wait for him to come out of that zag." And, you know, that's when he got me, bro, you know? And yeah, he was going to finish me off, man. You know, he was going to finish me off. And I knew that, I was just waiting now because when I went to around the car, I'm kind of just sitting back. Like, I'm right now right here. I'm looking to my left. I'm like, he's going to come from this side and just, that's it. You know, there's nothing I could do. Then I feel flung me forward and my name, and I'm like, "Dang, now I say thank you, Lord," you know?
Yeah, man. To look back and you see like God's hand in the moments, man. So, okay, so we're back in the story. Your son was born. How does life look moving forward? Like, are you, I know you mentioned smoking weed. Like, is that something that stuck with you, or like, how does life look after that? Like,
that stuck with me for a little while, man. And you know, that stuck with me. Drinking stuck with me. At the same time, you know, like in my mind, it's like, well, I'm still providing.
Okay.
You know, I'm still taking my kids to football practice. I'm still training with them, showing them how to box. We're still working out together. So that was me justifying, you know,
your lifestyle, the way you
my
live.
Drinking, my smoking, because I was still providing, you know.
Yeah.
And
as long as I'm doing this,
I should be
able to do this.
Right. As long as I'm doing this and I'm taking care of my kids, you know, I don't mistreat them. I provide for them. You know, I don't have to answer about why I drink or why I smoke, you know.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of like my lifestyle for a little bit, you know, and you know, it kind of just continued, you know, to like the 30s, you know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So to take us to the 30s, did anything change that made you want to, I mean, maybe you changed that, or did you continue even?
Well, you know what, the 30s came up, man, and you know, we the family split.
Okay.
You know, and that was really hard, you know, because, you know, I missed, you know, when I would get home, my kids would greet me, you know, and I was coming home to an empty house, you know, and you know, that hurt a lot, man, you know, because, you know, I love my kids, man. You know, I love my kids, you know, and you know, they mean the world to me. And instead of trying to do things differently, like, I just got even more depressed, more drinking, more smoking, you know, and still trying to go see my kids, you know, on the weekends, you know, and now it was only every other weekend, you know. And at first it wasn't every other weekend. That came later.
Okay.
You know? Like, at first it was just kind of a verbal agreement.
Yeah.
And but it didn't feel the same, man. You know, it's like having them every day, you know, and
seeing them interacting with
them, you know, that, you know, that kind of just was spiraling, and you know, from that, you know, like being at bars, you know, and being angry at this. So I was like, started like fights, you know, or anybody look at me a certain way, or because I was already like upset about something else, you know, that it didn't take much.
Gotcha.
You know, and so I was getting into a lot of bar fights, man, you know, a lot of like altercations, you know. You know, I suffered unnecessary, man, because of my own stupidities, man. You know, and then I went back to prison, you know.
But back to prison. Were you in prison before, or you were just talking about like
just about like the
Damon,
the Damon, you know, and like remember I had told you I had caught a case and they gave us a slap on the wrist of probation and I just got with a handgun, you know, stuff.
Oh,
like
right.
Yeah. So now this time, like it was more serious now, you know.
Okay.
Now it was a bigger charge, you know, because once again, you know, I'm being a hothead, you know, and I'm not mentally I'm not right, you know. I have, well, once again, I'm telling myself, well, at least you have your apartment, you have your car, you're making an effort to see your kids, you know, like I'm gonna do this, you know, like a checklist almost, you know, doing this. So now I get a little me time, you know,
right.
But you know so it was another gun case now, you know. And I fought it for a few years because I knew I was gonna go away, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you knew.
I knew. You know, I was just trying to like get all my ducks in a row.
Gotcha.
You know, and like make money and leave a certain amount of money, you know, and sell everything that had a value.
So even while you're fighting the case, you're still doing like maybe a little. Yeah, I got you. Okay, on the side.
On the side, you know.
So what ended up happening with that case?
It started off for like 10 years and it got down to 5 years at 50.
Okay.
You know?
So it was a state charge? It was in the federal, right?
No. It was in the federal.
State. Okay,
state, you know? So it was 5 at 50. So what is that, 2.5?
Yeah.
You know, and then
6 months, good time.
Yeah, it says it was my first time being in there. And I went to what's it called? It's they were promoting this joint as like a rehab, like as a help, like a program type of
like a drug program,
like something like that. It was up in Sheridan.
Oh, Sheridan. Okay, yeah.
And I had when I was at Stateville Holding.
Yeah. Where you go like for receiving.
Yeah, for receiving. So they find where to send you.
Yeah.
You know, they have you go talk to somebody. You know. And they were asking about my kids and if I drink and if I smoked, you know. And I kind of just told them, hey, man, you know, like if you guys could just send me somewhere close, man, you know, so my family come see me, you know. And like I said, he was promoting like, oh, well, there's this treatment joint, prison, you know, like where they kind of help you out if you have issues, you know. And he was kind of guided. He had like a questionnaire, like, do you smoke? And he's like, I'm like, yeah. You know, like, do you drink? Yeah, but I guess
so he was like guiding you.
Yeah, I guess you get kickbacks from the state. You know, like if certain people go there and pass the program.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's good. Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm at Sheridan. You know,
how far is Sheridan from Chicago?
Like 3 hours.
Okay, it's not bad. It's not bad for a prison.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you know, and for me that was a big life change, bro. Because like I said, I was fighting it the whole time. You know, and
how many years did you fight for? Like
two and a half.
All right.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I fought it for a while, man. You know, and so like I had no like time and county. You know, like so it wasn't.
You had to do the
whole thing. You know.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, well, I'm gonna make money at this time and just kind of leave it all behind for when I'm gone. They have something to fall back on. You know, that was my main concern. You know, and so it was a big change, bro. Like you go from going to the gym, going to work. You know, spending the weekends with your kids, you know, in your mind, you know, you're going to waste. You're trying to make every day precious, you know, every day, every moment count, you know? And then, when it was time to go, man, you know, it was hard telling them, man, you know, like letting them know that their dad had to go away, man, you know?
How old are you at this point when you went in?
I think I was, 31, 32.
Okay. Yeah.
You know? And,
how old is your oldest at this time?
My old, he's gonna be 25 now, and I'm gonna be 43. So he probably was like 14, maybe.
Yeah, teenager. Yeah, okay,
14, 13.
Okay, gotcha.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, and so yeah, man, telling him was a hard thing to do, man. I didn't know how to go about it, man. You know, I didn't know how to do it. You know, I'm like, but I gotta tell him before somebody else tells them. You know, or before they find out in a different manner, man. You know, so I kind of had like a family gathering in my mom's house, and you know, like my mom made pozole, and, you know, kind of, you know, I was trying to get food in there, you know, and make it like a little lively, you know, but we're getting them ready for like the bad news, you know, and bro, seeing them cry, bro, was the worst, man. You know, let them know that I had like let them down, you know, like that broke my heart, man.
Yeah,
you know?
I
like,
could imagine, man.
You know, and that's one thing, man. You know that like. I don't know how I don't know if I'm gonna say this correctly, but I know the Bible says that the kids pay for their father's sins, you know, and you know, they suffered because something I did, you know. Their father wasn't with them for this time, you know, when they needed some guidance, you know, where they needed like their father around, you know, and you know, I know that was hard for them as well, you know, and for me it was hard, man, you know, but now looking back, man, you know, I truly believe that if God wouldn't have put me away, man, I would have done something worse, or I would have been killed, man, or done something, you know, that I wouldn't be around, you know. I was spiraling, man. I was spiraling out of control, you know. And, you know, it was just, I thought I had it together just because I had a job. I was a functioning alcoholic, you know, party guy, you know. And, you know, I went away for a little bit, man. And, you know, going to a treatment joint, you know, they kind of structure you up a little bit. You know, you wake up with like the deck, and you wake up in prayer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you would say a prayer the first thing in the morning.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, you know, you would get into these, a counselor would come and speak to us about like our way of thinking, you know, and habits that need to be changed. And I remember telling Julio that there was men who were there in that prison before who became counselors.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And then they would go to speak to us, you know, and that really had an effect on me. Like, okay, like these guys made something, you know,
out of themselves,
you know, and they were here before, you know, and that's something they could telling us, like, hey, even though you guys are here, man, you know, like, this is not the end of you, you know? Like, and you know, like every situation, you can make the best of it, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I was blessed to have some good studies, man, you know, where we would read the Bible together.
Oh, no way.
You know, work out together, you know? And like, there was a lot of programs there, like they had...
Work out in the Word, man.
You work out in the Word, exactly, brother.
Yo.
Exactly, you know? And, you know, there was like a course you could take. It was called In and Out Dads, you know, like, you're in prison, your kids are out, you know, in and out. So how to speak to somebody, you know, like your son, you know, how to go still be a father while you're in there.
Man,
you know?
that's huge, man. That you'll be able to be like learning that while you're going through it.
Right. So like I said, man, like I know it says that God uses the storms of life, you know, to turn it into something good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, okay, I'm here, but you know, I gotta make myself mentally, spiritually, you know, physically, you know, strong and disciplined, you know. And that's where I learned the discipline about reading my Bible, you know, like about being there, you know. Maybe it was forced on me because, hey, there's nothing more to do, you know.
Gotcha.
And like, even like some of these guys, man, who would come and speak to us, like some of the guys would just go just to get out of their cells, you know, like, let's go hear them talk, you know, like we'll be out of our cells. And I seen those men, man, plant seeds and these other men, you know, and you think that some of these guys wouldn't listen, you know, but then after a while, like, oh man, like, man, you know, he spoke some truth there, you know.
You know what, the Word, man, like I told you, I go to Cook County, and one of the men asked, like, man, is it okay if I come here and how did he put it, man? Like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah. Kind of like, and I'm just here to get out my cell. You know? Like, and I tell him, man, come if you even got like the wrong intention of being here. Yeah. Because the Word of God is going to do what it needs to do in their lives, man. Like, so I agree with that. Like, man, these guys, I had a guy on here who said he went to a Bible study just so he could get out of his cell. Right. He's like, man, hey, let me, you know, I'll go. Just because he had an extra hour to get out of his cell. And then, hey, you guys got snacks or anything? But it was one of those moments where the pastor preached. He went back, you know, he shared a word with him where he didn't, he dismissed God, didn't want nothing to do with him. But he went back in his cell, like you mentioned. Hey, man, that guy spoke some truth. Now what he shared is going around in his mind. And eventually, you know, it started him on the road to seeking God.
Exactly, brother. You know, and even when we would go to church, you know, a lot of guys use the church to like pass kites or, you know, do something else that besides the church, you know, and like there was a big like not disagreement, but like kind of just talk, you know, like, hey, so should these guys be going, you know, if they're not even interested, you know, like, and you never know when God's gonna touch somebody, man. Oh yeah, you know, like even if they're doing like messed up stuff. Like maybe it's something that priest or that pastor is gonna say, man, it's gonna touch somebody, you know. And you never know. God works in mysterious ways, man, you know, and I've seen a lot of change in there, man, you know, and especially seeing like the men who would come talk to us. That's why I told Julio, I'm like, man, what you guys are doing is great, man, because I could relate more to somebody who's more like me, you know?
You're talking about Julio because he's going into Cook County now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I went to his group, you know, we were talking about it.
Okay.
You know? And I told him like what I had gone through and how I looked more to like forward to like guys like us, like coming to talk to me, you know, like I could connect more.
Yeah.
You know, it would resonate more.
Yeah.
You know?
Gotcha, man. Thanks for sharing that, man. Because to hear that perspective of you being in there and seeing like somebody who was locked up coming in and sharing and giving hope, you know, like
that means a lot, man. You know, so like, you know, that happened, man. And, you know, like I did like maybe like a year and a half in total, you know, which is not what I'm not going to say it's not bad. Maybe for somebody else it was bad, you know. But for me, it didn't seem like, it seemed like a blessing.
So they took a year off your sentence because you were supposed to do 2.5, right?
2.5, and they took 6 months, and then because I completed some other stuff in there.
So they gave you an extra 6 months.
Yeah.
Man, that's a blessing, man.
And I was staying out of trouble, man, you know, kind of just doing my time, reading, you know, working out, you know.
Did you find it easy to stay out of trouble or stay at the gang? Did you still have to be like plugged while you were in there?
No, man, you know.
How did that look?
Like that, man, like I think a lot of people who went there kind of just wanted to do their time and get out, man.
Gotcha.
You know?
So everybody kind of had like the same mindset.
There was gangs, you know, of course there's knuckleheads everywhere, you know, and there's good people and bad people everywhere, you know, but it's really up to you, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not about it, if you don't want to say, you know, like I carried myself as a quiet guy who wasn't gonna start nothing if you don't start nothing with me, you know? And, you know,
that's the best way to be, man, for real, yo.
You know, I would be out there working out, hey, brother, how you doing? You know, and kind of just carry myself in that manner.
Yeah.
You know, and I was fine, you know?
All right. So you get out, you do your work. How does life look for you, like when you come back home?
So I get out, man. You know, I get out and of course, you know, everybody, my brothers, they want to have like a Mexican party, you know, more drinking, more banda music playing, you know, and it's easy to fall right back, man. You know, it's easy to fall right back, man, you know, and like the promises I had made while I was in there, man, as soon as I came back out, you know, and I was on house arrest, in my mind, I'm like, well, I can't get in trouble here, you know, like what kind of trouble can I get on house arrest?
Yeah.
You know, one beer won't do no harm, you know, and then people miss me. So like friends were coming by, hey, we bought a 6-pack. All right, cool, man, you know, and just like that, cousins, brothers, you know. Oh man, come on! I was able to go downstairs, but like for New Year's, you know, because my bracelet was still enough distance for me to be able to go down there, you know, and you know, big old parties, you know, people getting drunk, you know, music playing, you know, same back almost the same thing, bro, you know, and I'm like, and once again, I'm justifying it, you know, I can't get in trouble. I'm here with my family, you know, I can't go nowhere, you know, so I'm here, you know, and then I finally got off the bracelet, man, and I reached out to one of my homies, you know, like, hey, man, I'm looking for work, you know, like, is there any work you could find me? And he hooked me up with this guy who had his own property management company, you know, and so I just started like as a worker, you know, we would go and do these board ups to the houses and anything that needed to be fixed. Like sometimes we had to kick out squatters, you know, and rip up some carpet, just little minor fixings, you know, mow the lawns, you know, stuff like that, you know, and at that time, man, you know, I was taking 2 buses and a train to get to work, man.
Wow.
You know? And I did that for a whole year.
No way.
Yeah, because, you know, I needed to make money to get a car, you know.
Man, that's a commitment and a struggle, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and you were you were trying to remain legit during this time.
I was trying, man. I was trying, you know, and people were like, you know, like,
let me help you get on your feet.
Let me help you get on your feet, you know. But at this time, man, I really did stay away from everything.
Gotcha.
Like once I started moving around and getting a job, like I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do nothing.
Right,
you know,
right.
I need to keep focused. You know, I need to get my life back together.
Yeah.
You know, I lost everything. You know, so I need to get a car, get an apartment. You know, and kind of just that was my mindset. You know, and then you know, working there at the property management, you know, like even though it wasn't the best job, man, you know, it was a job, you know.
Gotcha.
It was honorable, you know, it was decent, it was honest money.
Yeah.
You know,
legit.
Yeah, legit money. You know, I was able to get my uncle a job there, you know, because after a while for working for him, he kind of let me manage a truck.
Okay.
You know, so he was giving me my own stops, you know, and raise my pay a little bit, you know.
Nice.
Instead of making $100 a day, I was making $120 a day, you know.
Yeah.
And within a year, man, I had bought me a car, man, a Crown Victoria, you know. Yeah.
Hey.
You know, and I love that car, man. You know?
Right.
And
especially when you blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of felt bad leaving that job, man. You know, because you know they gave me an opportunity.
Right. No. Yeah.
But I thanked them.
Get on your feet. Yeah.
I thanked them. I thank you for everything, man. You know, because another opportunity came up.
Okay.
And this was at a job in Aurora as a trailer mechanic. They had like an apprentice program going on, you know. And I went, and you know, like I knew this was gonna come up, you know, because I'm fresh still, you know. And I went in there honestly, you know, like, hey, you know, I just need an opportunity. You know, I know I committed my errors in the past, you know, just give me an opportunity. I'll show you what I could do. I'm a fast learner. And all right, man, we'll give you an opportunity, man. You know, we need trailer mechanics, you know, you spoke honestly, you know. And my compadre, another compadre.
Yeah.
Hey, he was working there already. And he kind of gave me like, hey, man, they're hiring you. I'll be like, you got nothing to lose. Just give it a try, man, you know.
Yeah.
And I went over there, man, and, you know, right there, they taught me how to weld. They taught me how to, like, pretty much fix everything on a trailer, man.
Wow.
You know, from brakes to the tires to the bushings to electrical work, you know. Like, they taught me everything there, you know. And my compadre left to a better job. And after a year and a half there, they made me the lead mechanic, you know. And so now I had like a fleet of 100 trailers, you know.
Wow.
And I was like scheduling like preventive maintenance on them, you know, and everybody loved me there, man, you know. But then I started talking to truck drivers like, hey, you should get your CDL, you know, like like make more money, man, you know. And so I because I was like OSHA certified, I was a certified welder from over here. I got another job here in Cicero at a steel mill. I was melting certain metals. I was working a melter.
Okay.
You know, and making like certain metals, you know, and I was working there in the afternoon. So that gave me an opportunity to go to school in the morning to get my CDL, you know. So that's what I was doing. I would go to school in the morning, go to work in the afternoon, go to school in the morning, go to work in the afternoon. But around this time, you know, like somebody else came in, were like, hey, man, like, you want to make some money, you know? And I'm like, man, like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, this right up your alley, you know? Like, this is what you used to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, man, you know, why not, you know? And so I started doing that again, you know? Like, dealing a little bit, you know? And now I got a nicer car, you know? Now I got nicer clothes, you know? Now I'm back at the bars again, you know? And in my mind, to justify it, I'm going to school, I'm working hard in the afternoon, I'm trying to make progress in my life, you know? Like, in mine, I was always compromising and justifying, you know? And even though I knew I was wrong, like, I would always convince myself that it was only going to be for a little bit, you know, that it was only going to be for a little bit just to make the process quicker, you know? And I started doing that again, you know? And then I had I was doing that for about a year, and then I had a dream, man, where like I was back in prison, you know? And I'm like, man, but it seems so real, you know? And in my dream, that, man, how could I do this again, you know? How could I do this to my kids again, you know? I'm like, and then in my dream, I remember like me scolding me, like you effing idiot, you know? Like,
wow,
oh, like you see, you deserve to be here, you know? And after that, man, I kind of like told a guy and the people around me, like, man, I don't want this no more, you know? Like, I can't, you know, like, I don't want the lifestyle, you know, I don't want anything, you know, I kind of just want to drive trucks and just live a good life, you know? Legit life, you know? And so I started going to, I always went to St. Mary's Church, you know? The Catholic church right there by my mom's house. I always went there, you know, every Sunday, you know, on Wednesdays I would go, but it was more like another like check off box, you know, just saying, okay, I went to church, you know.
Like I used to go to Catholic church just like if God were taking attendance.
Yeah, take that here, you know. Yeah, exactly. Present, you know.
And be gone,
right? Yeah. And so, like around this time, man, I was kind of like, you know, I went there for about half a year, you know, like consistently, you know, and my parents were encouraging it, you know, like, oh yeah, it's good that you're going to church, you know. Like keep going, you know, like, you know, God's helping you. He's helping you get your CDL, you know, you got a good job, you know, like God's always been with you, you know, like look how far you come. You know, my parents were really good at encouraging you because they didn't want, you know, like my older brother was locked up. I had been locked up. My older brother got shot. I got shot, you know, so like they kind of wanted both of us to kind of just kind of like live a good life, man, you know? So they were good at encouraging, man. So I continued going to church, but like to me, like there was like something missing, man. Like I didn't feel like part of the church, you know? I didn't feel like I didn't say like I didn't belong there, but I just didn't feel like I was like an actual part of it. Yeah. You know? And here comes my Google search, you know?
Okay.
And so I did a Google search for Bible studies around like near me. And the first church that popped up was New Life in Cicero. And I called and the number that was there and the lady answered, you know, and she's like, oh, you know what, we got, there's a men's group and Omar Calvillo, he does the prayer group, you know, or the men's group. And I think I called you.
Was it?
Yeah, I think I called you. Yeah.
Because this was back in, I think you mentioned earlier, 2018.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, I think I called you and you said, like, oh, you know what? We gotta have a prayer group. Like it was the furnace. Yeah. Like we have the furnace going on. And you're like, well, there's a bunch of men that comes together and pray, you know? Yeah. And right there, I'm like, man, I really don't know how to pray though, you know? And I started watching videos about how Christian men pray and it looked kind of intimidating, you know?
Oh, no way, for real?
Yeah. Like, oh man, like these guys really pray, you know? Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know how to pray like that, you know? Yeah. I remember telling you, I'm like, bro, I don't know how to play. I don't know how to pray. It's cool if I just sit back and just watch. You're like, yeah, man, just come on with it, man. And I almost didn't go in, man. You know?
You want to talk about that thing? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think you want to tell the story. Yeah. But go ahead.
So I parked on the side street. I forgot what street that is. It's not at the one at the front door. It's on the side.
Yeah, it's 36?
By the school. 36.
Yeah, 36. Yeah.
I parked on 36. And I was walking. I walked to the door. And then I'm like, something like, man, what are you going to do here? You know, you can do it on your own, you know? Like, you've always done it on your own, you know? I'm like, do you really want to like be a fake and come in this church thinking that you're going to do something different? Like, you're always going to go back to where you went to. I'm like, yeah, you know, you're right, you know? So I went back to my car, you know? And I'm sitting in the car and now I'm talking to myself. I'm like, man, but you're already here, man, you know? like what harm could come of it, you know? Just go in there, you know, check it out. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. I walk back to the door and then something's speaking to me like, come on, man, like, do you really want this? Like we could go watch some football right now, you know, grab a beer or something, you know, go home, be ready for work the next day, you know? And I'm like, man, you know, like, I'm gonna go grab a beer instead, you know? I walk back to the car. And then I'm in the car, I'm like, man, why is this so difficult, man? Like I've been looking forward to this, you know, like coming here after work, you know? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. As I'm walking towards the front door, Rudy's walking in. And Rudy's like, oh, you're here for the furnace? I'm like, yeah, is Omar here? He's like, oh yeah, he's inside. He's like, come on. And I'm like, all right, man, let's go, man. You know, like, I guess, you know, I'm gonna go check it out, you know?
Yeah.
And, so I walk in there, man, and I met you, I met Arturo, I met, Rudy there, a bunch of other brothers, man. You know, that was a small room, man, but it was crowded. You know, it was a bunch of us in there.
For people that don't know, it was almost like a closet, man.
It was, man.
Or there's a room, man. Yeah. And basically, the furnace, it was a prayer ministry. Rudy, there was a couple brothers that started it. You know, I know Arturo was there at the beginning. We had another brother, Pete. You know, so these brothers, you know, decided to start a prayer ministry.
Yeah.
You know, it was a prayer ministry that started because of prayer.
Okay.
Prayer and seeking God, man. What should we do in this season? And man, the furnace. The furnace is from a Charles Spurgeon. Charles Spurgeon was an old theologian. That's just where we get the title from. Was an old not theologian. He was an old preacher.
Okay.
And he had a room in this church, and I think it was if I'm not mistaken, in the basement of the church, and he called it the furnace because back in those days, the furnace was almost like an engine, you know, with the steam.
Yeah.
So he called the prayer room the engine room of the church.
Okay.
Like nothing's gonna happen if there's no prayer. It's almost like the fuel, you know, like that's the most important part of the church is prayer.
Right.
You know, so that's where that title come from. And yeah, back then, man, we were squeezing in sometimes. Yeah. All these men in this room, and we're just praying, man. We're just seeking God, and So what was your experience? You went there?
I went there, right, brother? And like, I was surprised, man, because I never seen nothing like this. You know, like I didn't see like people like talking so openly, you know, like asking God for help. Like, so like, I always thought I had to approach God like, with perfect English and like with perfect sentencing and, you know, with like just perfect in every way, you know, and to hear men like cry out to God, like, Lord, please help me with this, you know, like coming to him like almost as a friend, as a father,
yes.
you know. And to me, that was really surprising, man, because the Catholic Church, I'm not trying to down the Catholic Church, you know, everything was more like you have to be like a certain way, you know, to be able to.
Almost like presentable. Like a certain way you present your requests, right?
Right, like, exactly. You know, and over here I was surprised, man, you know, how you guys were praying, you know, and I'm like, man, I'm like, this is nice right here, you know, like this is what I'm looking for, you know, to be part of something, to be part of men who are looking to seek the Lord, you know. And so I kept going, man. I kept going. Then I started going to the services, you know. And then I guess like my kids started seeing a change in me, you know. Like, you know, and my older son was he was going through some things still, you know, that he was like dealing with, you know. And in a way, because I was trying to get my life together and I was getting my CDL and working, like I really wasn't there. Yeah, you know, to kind of help them, you know, because I'm still trying to situated,
like help
myself out, you know. And so, you know, like going to New Life, like they started seeing a change in me, and little by little I started talking to them about God, you know, even though I didn't know much, you know. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to this church, man, it's really nice, you know, like I'm learning about God, I'm going to these men's groups, and oh yeah, Dad, that's good, Dad, you know, like that's good, you know. And I could see them like that also, like in just those little words, encouraging. You know, that's good, Pops. They call me Pops. Yeah, that's good, Pops, you know? And then I remember Isaiah was going through like one of his a rough time. You know? And I took him to the furnace, you know, and all your brothers prayed for him, you know, and he liked it, man. He kept like, you know, like trying to get into it, you know, and I never stopped telling him, you know, like, hey, come to church, man, or, you know, seek God, you know. And it took him a while to, you know, to kind of like go on his own, you know, and kind of just like him doing it without me telling him to do it, you know. But man, like even now he still goes, you know. And he tells me that he would like want to attend the groups, but he works night shifts. You know, so it's kind of scheduling is kind of like not allow him to do it, you know. But anytime I get a chance, man, we talk, you know. And he was at church last Sunday, and you know, that was good, you know. And so, like when I didn't not that I didn't know how much importance like a father plays in their kids' lives, man. You know, like I always knew that was a big part of it, right? Yeah. But I didn't think that it would ever come to a point where like my kids are searching for God, you know, like following in the right path, man. Because like. To me, that was almost an impossibility, man. You know, like, I don't know why. To me, I never thought it would be what it is, you know, my kids getting baptized, you know, my kids coming to God, you know, my kids doing things the right way, you know. Tony, he's in boot camp right now. And for his squad, he's like the prayer guy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, you know. And he wrote to me. Like,
for those that don't know, that's your youngest, right?
That's my youngest son.
Okay, how old is he?
He's 18.
Okay.
Yeah. So he wrote me a letter, and he's like, Dad, you know, like, I love you. And the last letter he wrote me, man, I actually told Pastor Juan, you know, and he like almost brought me to tears, you know. He's like, Dad, not knowingly, you know, you got me ready for this, you know. Like, I gotta thank God that He blessed me with a father like you.
Wow.
You know, he like because of you, like I'm leading my squad in prayer with the church, and I'm like, man, you know, like I never thought, you know, that I like, I'm not gonna take I don't want to take the glory, man, you know, because all the glory is to Jesus Christ, because he changed me. Yeah. For my kids to be able to see the change in me. Yeah. You know? And I'm just so grateful, man. You know, that my kids are following the right path. Isaiah's doing good. You know, he's got his issues for the most part, like taken care of. You know, he's following Jesus Christ. He got baptized. Carlos is married, you know. That's my middle son, Carlos. You know, and he's married. He has a wife, and, you know, he has a son, my grandson, Lorenzo. You know,
and they both got baptized.
and they both got baptized. Tony was on his way because they called him early for boot camp. Yeah. You know, but he told me, hey, that when I get back, I'm gonna get baptized.
Look at that.
You know, and it's just a blessing, bro. It's just a blessing from seeing like everything that, you know, that's happened in my life. You know, like I've always told myself like I'm nobody special, you know. Yeah. Like I don't like talking about myself. It makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, you know? I got that's why I put this like off so long, you know, because to me it was like who's gonna get anything out of this, you know? Like there's people with worse stories. There's people with other stories, you know. Like why does mine count? You know, like mine doesn't count. And then when me and you talked at the church, you know, like I told myself, your story counts because Jesus has moved all in it. Yeah. Because of Jesus, you know, this is why your story counts, because you matter to him. You know, you could have been lost forever, you know, and your kids would have been lost forever. Yeah. You know, but now going back and seeing everything that's happened, Jesus was always there, man. Amen. You know, he was always there guiding me, protecting me. And every storm of my life, he turned it into something as a learning process, you know, and as a way to heal me and protect me, man, and to make me a better person. Amen. You know, just yesterday I put something on Facebook about I'm not good at memorizing scripture. Okay. But it's something like even in our suffering, we glorify God because suffering brings perseverance, and perseverance brings
It's in Romans. Yeah, Romans 3. Man, I forget it. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm gonna have to find it. But
so that I put that yesterday, man. That one always speaks to me, man. You know,
and brings hope. Go ahead, bust it out. Yeah. So I think we found the scripture, man. So go ahead if you want to read it. Yeah, I had the wrong chapter. I think it's Romans 5, I believe.
Yeah, it's Romans 5.
Yeah,
man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but you knew the verse.
Yeah. I knew part of it. I'm the same way with you, where I'll remember a few words, and then you know what I do? I Google it. Okay. So I just put it like perseverance, you know, this, and you know the scripture will come out. Then but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So this verse, this scripture really speaks to me, man, because you know, like a lot of people think that during the suffering stage, you know, they tend to blame God, you know, because they're suffering and they feel that things are not fair or that things are not the way that they're supposed to be, or they start questioning, you know, like, God, why would you allow stuff like this to happen, you know? And for a while, that was me, you know, because I didn't want to take accountability because I'm giving free will, man. You know, I'm giving free will, you know, and I know right from wrong, you know, and God has really worked in me to see these things, you know? So, yeah, here it goes. So it says, not only so, but we also glory in our suffering, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not shame, but God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us.
Amen. And how does that speak to you? I guess it just, I know you mentioned a little bit, but.
It speaks to me, brother, because, you know, like I said, man, you know, I have suffered stupidly, undeserved, because of my own mistakes, you know. But seeing what being faithful through God, even in those times, man, what it brings, you know, God promises to make those storms of your life into something good. Yeah, you know, and that's what He's done in my life, man. You know, and like my biggest. If I achieve anything in this world, is to lead my family to God. Amen. You know, that's my greatest achievement. You know, leading my family to God and following the godly way, seeing them follow the godly way. You know, I'm so blessed, brother. You know, and it's all because of Jesus Christ, man. Yes. You know, once I turned my life over and I got baptized, it was a rough time around that time, man, because when I brought my kids with me and they started following, man, a lot of bad stuff started happening. You know,
you want to share about that?
Yeah,
because people need to hear. I know we were talking earlier, man. Well, seeking God, man, God loves us, man. He changes us, But man, does opposition come as well, man.
Those spiritual warfare, man. That exists, man. You know,
Ephesians 6. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and rulers. You know, in high places. So it's a lot of demonic. There's an enemy. You know, there's an enemy out there who hates God, but he cannot do anything to God. Right. So who does he come at? He comes after God's people, man.
Exactly. So yeah, man, you know, I started coming to the church, you know, my kids started following me, from my oldest to my youngest, you know, and I think like a month or two into it that they were coming, like just things started happening, man, like things that I couldn't like comprehend, you know, like to me, 'cause I was so like fresh in my walk and so like immature in my faith, you know, that I wasn't prepared, you know, and I remember telling you, Omar, I'm like, I'm gonna have to leave this alone for a while, man. My family's under attack, you know, and bad things are happening. I don't know if you remember, my youngest son, Tony, his friend, brought a gun to school and shot himself, you know, and died in the bathroom. And my son had to go to therapy because of that, you know. Then a few months after that, my other son, Carlos, his friend committed suicide over a girl, you know. And while all this is going on, Isaiah's still dealing with his own issues where he had to like kind of get that taken care of and, seek some help, you know. And then out of nowhere, Carlos got sick where like he ended up at the hospital, Loyola. Infections started popping up all over his joints. You know, he had to get 2 surgeries on his left knee, a surgery on his right shoulder. And I remember I reached out to Rudy, you know, I'm like, Rudy, man, like, I don't know if you're busy, you know, I'm like, but my son's at Loyola. I'm like, I really need prayers, man. You know, if you or somebody else could go up there and pray for my son, man, because at this point I'm thinking like bone cancer or something, because they didn't have no answers for us. They just...
How long was he fighting this? Because he was there for a while,
wasn't he? He was there for a while, man.
Like for how long?
I think like close to a month.
And they couldn't pinpoint what was causing it, right?
Like just infections were popping up in his joints.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, man, what's going on, man? You know, and I was getting mad, you know, I'm like, man, did I do the right thing? You know, like, you know, as soon as like I started like bringing my children to God, why are we being like attacked in this manner? You know, like I'm like, man, I got to call it quits for a little bit. You know, I don't want nothing bad to happen to my children no more, you know? And then, and so I was gone for like 2 months, man, from the church, you know, like I didn't want nothing, you know, I just wanted my life to go back to normal and my kids to be healthy and kind of, you know, get their lives back to normal, you know? And then, but something kept tugging at me, you know, and you know what, Omar, after I left, we got left alone, man, you know?
You know what, before you share that, is this after what happened to your son in the hospital?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? I know you mentioned Rudy going over there.
Yeah. So Rudy went over there, man. He prayed for my son, you know, and my son started getting better, you know, like actually a few days after that. Yeah. Like 3 days after that, you know, like my son started getting better, where like the infections, like they were doing like I don't know if it was like a MRI, but they were taking like a scan of his body, and the infection will show up like as yellow, you know. So like he had like one here, he had one here, he had like one in his ankle, you know, and they just kept popping up. And then like once they would get like the yellow like would get bigger, then that's when they would have to do surgery and like scrape the bone and, you know, go in there, you know, and clean it up. And like 2-3 days after that, like they did a scan, they're like, that most of them are gone already, you know.
This is after Rudy prayed
for my son, man. You know, like most of them are gone. Like, and like they were kind of like baffled by it, you know. Like, you know, they try to say, you know, I'm nothing to take away from the medicine or like what they say, you know. Right. Like they had said that they had tried some experimental stuff, but in my heart, man, it was the Lord who saved my son, man. You know, who healed him. You know,
he healed him, but even after you healed him, you felt like, man, I got to take a break, because
even after he healed them, even after, you know, the miracle, man, even after that, to me, it's like, I'm not going to put them back through this, you know, like.
So what you're saying is you felt like your children are getting attacked because you're getting close to God, right?
Because I'm getting close to God, and not only that, but because they're following me also, you know? And I remember you telling me, man, because you're like, he's not just worried about you. He's worried about the people that you're going to influence and bring to the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what he wants to avoid. He wants to stop it right there before you're able to influence anybody else. You know, so this started happening. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Like it's going to happen again. Yeah. You know, I can't have my kids go through this no more, you know? Like they've already been through enough in a short span of time. Like I got to kind of just fall back, you know? And like I said, I was like away for like 2 months. But something kept tugging at my heart, like, come back, you know, come back. And, you know, like, just come back to the church, you know, come back to the church. And I decided to go back, man, you know, and I was there for a little bit. And then the whole COVID thing happened, you know, and that was another, like, little rough patch.
Yeah,
you know,
oh, yeah. For everybody,
for a lot of people,
yeah.
You know, a lot of rough patch. And, you know, and even during that time, man, I kind of went back to my old ways, you know, of drinking, you know, and not doing drugs, you know, mostly just drinking, you know, like heavily, you know, because, you know, things were happening, you know, and the world might end at any time.
Yeah, Point, it was a very uncertain times.
Anxiety and all that kicked up, man, you know, and you know, I got really sick around that time, you know, I got really sick as well, man, you know, I was working while I was sick, you know, and I'm in, I transport garbage to the landfill, you know, so my immune system's down. I already had COVID, but in my head, I'm like, well, I'm in my truck by myself, you know, I'm not around people, you know, it wasn't that bad, you know, to me, it's like, I'm pretty healthy, you know, like I never got a flu shot, you know, so this is going to be nothing, you know, and I guess all that breathing in the garbage and my immune system already being down, like I also caught meningitis, you know, and, well, you like, you know, man, I ended up in the hospital because of that, man.
I got meningitis after I got COVID too, because my sister, I was jacked up, man. But go ahead.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I got really sick again. You know, I got sick, and that was another time where I had to rebuild myself, man, because
weren't you like didn't they have you like intubated? If I'm not mistaken, weren't you like out for a while?
I was. So the thing is that I had to quarantine, right, for like 10 days or how long was it? I don't remember.
It was 14, I think, at first, and then they started going down.
Yeah. So, you know, during that time I had to quarantine, but like, I don't know if you remember during that time, there was like different variants of COVID. And there was like,
this was like a year after the original one, wasn't it?
Yeah, like a year.
Like in 2021, maybe?
Right around that time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there was like a different variant, which was like the Delta or something.
Okay.
You know, and apparently that's the one I had got. Which is like a little bit worse or something.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, but I had like quarantine, right? And during the quarantine, I was like really sick still, bro. Like I lost a lot of weight, you know? But to me, I'm like, okay, well, the 14 days are up, you know? Like I'm done quarantining, you know? I'm like, I got to get my life back to normal. Let me go do some food shopping and let me go wash my car. Let me go get a haircut. And I was tired of eating like caldos and like fruit, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm going to get me some tacos, you know? I'm like, I'm going to go in the forest, take a little walk and kind of just regather myself, you know? And I'm like, man, I'm still not feeling good. Even after the 14 days of quarantine, you know, like I'm still feel like weak, you know? And bro, by the afternoon, I was already back in the hospital, man, because like I had called one of my buddies and he's like, bro, I'm not in town. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I called my fiance. What time she was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, can you give me a ride to the hospital? You know, and she's like, yeah, I'll be right there, you know, and she dropped me off. And around that time, but there was like a little, I think like a little war between the vaccinated and unvaccinated where like they weren't trying to like treat the unvaccinated, you know? So I felt like they were giving me like a hard time, you know?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because they're like, well, are you vaccinated? I'm like, no. Like, oh, why didn't you get vaccinated? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't think I needed it. Like, well, look how sick you are now, you know? And so they put me like in a room, but like, it was like, not even like, you know how the emergency rooms have like those like
a little curtain or
right,
something?
like this, like a curtain that you kind of slide back and forth. Well, they threw me in the room in the back with like a door, you know? And I only had like a little that takes my blood pressure, the little machine, you know? And
so they were mistreating the unvaccinated.
I felt like they were, man, you know? And they came and gave me like two Tylenols, you know? And I'm like, man, I don't feel well, you know? And they left me in there a few hours. And during that time, like I was already like making phone calls, but to my girlfriend at the time, but she said I wasn't making any sense.
Gotcha.
You know, that my mind was already like kind of like starting to like, I don't know, play tricks on me or something. Yeah. And she was asking me questions and I was talking about football. I'm like, I don't remember that, you know? And then they came and gave me my paperwork, and they're like, okay, you're good to go. And as I'm walking out the door, this is the same hospital where I got saved from being shot, same emergency room and everything, you know? So I'm walking out the door, and there's a nurse there. She's like, hey, where are you going? You know, I'm like, oh, they gave me my paperwork. She's like, no, you don't look good. You know, like you can't be leaving somebody picking you up. I'm like, I don't live that far, you know? And she's like, she got a call because there was like a lot of patients. She's like, don't leave, I'll be right back, you know? And me being hard-headed, I'm like, oh, I got my paperwork. I'm good to go, you know? So I left and I walked home, and the whole time I'm walking home, I'm thinking I'm on the phone with my girlfriend, telling her I'm on my way home, you know, like I'll be there in a few minutes, you know? But she said she never got a call from me. Like it was all in my head, just already, you know, like losing its sense, I guess. And I kind of just like fell asleep on the back porch. It was still nice outside, you know? And like the only reason she woke up was because the dogs were barking. But she thought that I was medicated. You know, like she knew I was at the hospital. She's like, oh, why didn't you call me? I would have picked you up. I'm like, I did call you. She's like, no, you never called me. I'm like, yeah, you know, I did. But no, I never had, you know? And then from there to like everything else, I don't remember nothing. I remember waking up and I was intubated, and pretty much had to tell me like what had happened, you know? And
so you got really sick, man.
I got really sick, man. I had it was swelling in my brain. I got intubated. I was having seizures, you know, and like even after that was done, like I had like because I was stuttering a lot, you know, where like my brain still wasn't functioning correctly, so I had to like kind of relearn how to talk, and like because of my seizures, they took my CDL away for 6 months, you know, because I wasn't fit to drive, you know, and so I was kind of just at home now, like depressed again, you know, and kind of like, man, like why, you know, like why is stuff like this keep happening to me, you know? And little by little, man, you know, like while I was there, you know, and kind of not working nothing, you know, I got more into the Bible, man, you know, and there's no particular way where I read the Bible, you know, like I kind of just like do like, well, I feel like that the Old Testament, I'll read the Old Testament, the New Testament, but to me it's like no matter where I open the Bible, like it spoke to me of a certain situation I was going through, you know, and I'm like, man, I gotta hop, like sometimes it would be at a random, you know, let me just open up the page and read something, you know, and there would be something that would come up, man, like how did it know, you know, like, you know, like, no, you know, like how did it know, how did it come out in this manner, you know, but by the grace of God, man, you know, like I got my CDL back, you know, and I'm fully healed from that, you know, and you know, that's another miracle, another blessing, you know, that got me through. And
because you, I mean, from what I remember back then, things were pretty grim for you during that time, man. Where you might have not have.
They were bad, man. They were bad. I know. I don't know who let you guys know about it. I know somebody told you guys about it.
They told us, definitely. We were praying for you, but from what I remember, you know, I know it's been a while, but like, man, he ain't doing too good, man. You got the, you know, so
a lot of people like thought that I wasn't gonna make it, man. You know, because you know, of how bad it was. Right. But a real quick story, man. You know, like right during that time, you know, I remember like not a few days, like kind of like, I don't know when I told my son this, but there's a song by the Beatles that I like a lot. It's called My Sweet Lord, you know, and it's pretty much just repetitive.
You know?
I know
what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I had told my son Carlos, like, hey man, like you know, it's one of my favorite songs, man. You know, like if I'm not doing too good or something, man, play the song for me, you know. And when I was at the hospital, in my coma state, you know, like Carlos got this recorder, like a little recorder. And he's talking like, hey pops, we love you, you know, and be strong, you know. He like, I know you love the song, and he started playing it for me, you know. And I could hear it, you know, and my son Carlos and my family said that I started tearing, like I was sleeping, but I started crying, you know. And after that, like I took a turn for the better.
No way.
You know, I took a turn for the better, and Carlos said that, you know, that he remembered me, like, you know, like asking him to play that song for me, like if
Look at that, man.
Yeah, you know, and that song, like I said, it's repetitive, you know, it's not like a gospel song.
I know what you're talking about,
you know?
Yeah, and that, man, then that helped you there, man. So you made it through that. How does life look for you now, man? Like, where you at now, and how are things, you know?
Oh, well, man, life right now, man, like I'm really blessed by God, you know. I have a wonderful woman by my side, you know, and my kids are doing great, you know, and like I said, like if my only accomplishment is to lead my family to Christ, that's my greatest accomplishment, man. And you know, I know, like I said, I didn't think that, not that I didn't think, but like nobody, it was the women in my life that kind of led me to the Lord, you know, but in their ignorance, they didn't know much, you know, about the teachings. They're like, oh, you know, God says you got to be good, you know, and don't do that or God's going to be upset at you, you know. And they tried their best, man, you know, but like a fathers play a big role, like in this, brother, you know, and, you know, as men, we got to teach the young men, you know, that the only way is through Jesus Christ, you know. And I'm, like I said, man, I'm blessed, man, you know, we're healthy, you know, my kids are doing great, my family's doing good, you know, and you know, me and my fiance are starting to do more stuff like through the church, you know, like we started attending Pastor Juan's group.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, on Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really good, you know, and we went in there with like just an open mind, you know, not knowing what to expect. And you know, it's been great so far, you know. And I've been trying to make other little appearances, like Julio's group, you know, and at to Arturo's group, you know, and now I'm here with you, brother, you know, and little by little, I'm just seeking God through other men, you know.
Yes.
And you know, it's to me, like there's always, I'm never too old to stop learning.
No,
you know?
definitely, man.
Yeah. And like, you know, I'm never too proud to ask a question or like
ask for help, man.
Or ask for help, you know, because, you know, like, you know, God put you guys in my life for a reason, you know?
Definitely.
And I appreciated everything that you guys have done for me, bro, for my family, you know, and, you know, you've been a great mentor to me, brother.
Oh,
you
thanks,
know,
man.
And you've been, you know, my kids speak fondly of you, man, you know, and
that's because they don't really know me, you know.
you know, because look, man, because they see the changes in me, you know.
Amen.
And when the changes were coming through me, I would speak a lot about you.
Amen.
You know, like, yeah, oh, brother Omar, you know, he's, you know, like he's been patient, or he's been telling me this, or, you know, like asking me, like teaching how to pray a little bit, you know. He did the blue book with me, you know, and you did the blue book with my son Carlos as well, you know, and with his wife, you know, your wife. Did,
so me and my wife were able to go through the book together, baptizing them.
Right.
And it's been a blessing, man, to see God move in your family, man. Like, and I know you mentioned about the role of a father. I think I interviewed Louis Dooley, and he was talking about, he gave me like actual statistics of when the father comes to Christ, compared to the mother. He's like, not to minimize the role of the woman or the mom, but statistically speaking, I'm going to try to find it. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. But when the man, because, you know, God calls the man to be the head of the household, to be the leader. And when he surrenders his life to Christ, when he comes under his lordship, begins to seek him and serve him, it causes like a chain reaction in the family. And there's like the percentages of the children that follow are like greater when the man begins to seek God, you know. So definitely men, they need to know that their choices matter. And what I love about your story is how real and raw you shared about your struggles, your shortcomings, you know, whatever it was, whether alcohol, drugs, and don't let that define you. You know, if you're hearing like, man, I already done so many years of bad, it's never too late to turn it around and for your kids to see it and also follow. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's never too late, man. So that's what I love about your story, man. And it's surrendering, and like you mentioned, it's bigger than just you. That's why I feel the enemy came at you so hard, man.
Right, brother.
Because he knew that it wasn't just your children. Now you just became a grandfather recently, man. And it's the grandchildren and the generations to follow, man. Like, I love the Bible when it talks about one man, a man of faith. Then talks about the sons, and then you see like the lineage.
Right.
The lineage of the godly, man. It's
exactly, brother. You know, and like, you know, that's like, that would be a blessing, man, you know, to see like this family turn around and break those chains, you know, of bondage, you know, and like, of like, not a godly living, you know, because we need God in our lives, brother, you know, especially, you know, in times like these, you know, where like, I was talking to one of my friends, because my friend Vince also got baptized, you know, at New Life, you know, and he started going there because I started going there, and I started inviting him and Edgar and a bunch of my other friends, you know, and me and Vince were talking, and he's like, man, like we're looked at as the weird people now, bro. I'm like right now, like, the world looks at us like we're the odd ones. It's like a flip upside down world, man, And I'm like, you know what, bro? Like we can't worry about the world. We can't be in love with the things of the world, We gotta put the kingdom of God first, because like what Pastor made that analogy with that little rope, the little red piece on the rope, and then you have eternity.
Yeah.
And that's what we're searching for. That's our goal, to hear God say to us, well done,
a good and faithful servant. Yes.
And that's my like what keeps me pushing forward, man, to hear those words.
Amen. And that's what it's about. It's not about the little, and Jesus said, remember, if the world hates you, it hated me first.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So if they hated the master, if they hated the teacher, how much more the student, how much more the disciple that is going to follow him,
Yeah.
So if we find ourselves being accepted, then we're probably not doing something right. Man, and like, unfortunately, like nowadays, the followers of Christ, man, they're just, like you mentioned, we're the oddballs, we're the weird ones, but the world needs to hear.
The world needs to hear, man, and the young men need to hear.
Yes.
The young men, like right now they're under attack, like a lot of confusion going on about certain things, that don't make almost no sense to me.
No, like don't make sense to a lot of people.
So that's as fathers we gotta tell them the truth, know, because that's not the truth. You know? God doesn't make mistakes, man. No,
definitely, I agree, man. We need men to raise up other men.
Yep.
And let them know that they were created in the image of God.
Exactly.
As that, like, and not to accept no lies, man. But definitely, man. I'm glad you were here, man. I think, man, we're already 2 hours, man. So
2 hours.
Yeah, man. So
it went by quick, brother.
Good thing you're paying me by the hour.
I know.
So. No, hey, Carlos, man. I know you mentioned earlier, like you said, you stated, like, man, what is my story gonna do, man? Your story's gonna bless many, man. Just the miracle after miracle in your life, not just in your life, but now in your children. And I see, like I said, I get to personally see, like, God moving, in your family, and it's beautiful, man. It's awesome, man. So, what word of advice would you have to somebody that's going to be listening to your story? Maybe I don't know, but whatever God placed on your heart that you want to say, like to them that they're going to watch, word of encouragement.
Yeah. For a long time, I always thought that I had to have my life together, man, in order to be able to approach God or even to be accepted by God, I felt like I had done so much, that I was like kind of far gone already, And the truth is that God awaits for you with open arms, brother. God's always going to love you. God's always going to be there for you. And, through trials and tribulations, like you could always count on God to be there. And I've witnessed it plenty of times in my life. It's never too late to come to the Lord, and never give up hope, man. There's always hope as long as you believe in Jesus Christ. There's always gonna be hope, and don't get discouraged. Sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it's a long process, man. But you see God working in that process to mold you and to make you a better person. And that discipline also helps you be more faithful, and surrounding yourself with good people too, man. You can't keep going back to what hinders your growth.
Yeah. So it's important to connect with men that are also seeking God, right?
Exactly, man, or women, there's
body,
youth groups, the body, the church, you got to stay connected, man. And like I said, like that's something I didn't have, and now I'm being more intentional, about searching things out, and like I said, I was attending these small groups and men's group and making little appearances here and there, and it's been great, brother.
Hey, man, I want to plug it real quick since you mentioned it, the groups.
Yeah.
We go to New Life Community Church Cicero. I think it's 3601 South 61st Avenue, if I'm not mistaken, Cicero, Illinois. We got groups for men, women, youth. I think there's some groups on Tuesdays. Wednesday is the one group he's talking about with the couples, right? With Pastor Juan.
Wednesday is actually There's a group for everybody on
So
Wednesdays.
They have what do they call it? A community night, I believe.
Community night.
Yeah, so there's groups for men, women, couples, youth, I believe, meet. So yeah, if you're in the area, if you're seeking for a church and you're not plugged in anywhere, hey, come visit New Life Cicero or any New Life location. I'm gonna put the website on there. You could click on there. I believe there's like 26 locations throughout the city and suburbs. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, there's definitely probably a New Life church close to you, you know. But man, thanks for sharing your story, Carlos. Hey, could you do us a favor? I know you said, man, you were battling. Man, I ain't gonna go in there, man. These guys know how to pray. I know, man. But I'm gonna throw you in the spot, man. Hey, can you close out in a prayer?
Sure, brother.
Amen.
Yeah. Lord Jesus Christ, we come to you with a thankful heart. I want to thank you, Lord, for the work that Omar is doing and all the people that he's reached. I want to thank you for his family and all the work they've been doing to spread the gospel. I'm just so overwhelmed, Lord, with a grateful heart, you know, for everything that you've done for me and my family, Lord. We love you, Lord. We praise you. We honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Man, thank you for joining me, man. It's a blessing. And it was well worth the wait, man, to get
brother.
your story out there, man.
Yep. Appreciate you, bro.
No, for sure, man. Any final words or anything, or?
I think I talked enough already, brother.
I'm sure nobody out there is thinking that, man. But with that, we're gonna get ready to close out. Matthew 4:16 reads, "The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light, and upon those who sat in the region and shadow of death, light has dawned." Alongside my guest, Carlos Alvarez, my name is Omar Calvillo, and we are Wrong to Strong.